The Spirit of Columbus, an original screenplay based on a true story by Eric W. Carlson. Fade in, super. Once you have tasted flight, you will forever walk the earth with your eyes turned skyward. Leonardo da Vinci. Super, based on a true story. Pre-lap, the sound of a Cessna 180 engine grows louder. Exterior sky, Cessna 180 flying, 1963, day. In the deep blue sky, a single-engine Cessna 180, tail number N138C, flies into view. Interior Cessna 180 flying continuous. Super March, 1963. Jerrie Mock, 36, pilots a Cessna. She wears a headset and aviator glasses, which contrasts with her plain dress and silver bracelet. An eclectic blend of housewife and pilot. She's a smart, progressive woman, but one hindered by the constraints of the male-dominated era.
Miami Tower, 138 Charlie, on final for runway 27.
138 Charlie, cleared for landing runway 27.
Exterior Florida, Miami Airport, runway 27, minutes later. The Cessna 180 touches down for a perfect landing. Exterior Florida, Miami Airport, terminal, minutes later. Jerrie parks her Cessna near a welcome 1963 National Women's Air Races banner. A few bored race officials wait under it. The propeller stutters to a stop. Her husband, Russ Mock, 37, a real sell sawdust to a lumber mill type, dashes to the Cessna. She exits, clearly upset. He gives her a quick kiss.
What happened? You're the last one to arrive.
Jerrie exchanges her keds for more feminine canvas pumps.
My gyro started acting out, so I returned to Houston to check it.
You've got a backup compass. Why didn't you keep going?
Because I didn't want to end up in Cuba by mistake.
Russ's frustration boils over.
Jerrie, you better learn how to take a few risks. Otherwise, you will always be finishing last.
Interior Florida, Miami Hotel Ballroom that night. Under the welcome 1963 National Women's Air Racers banner, a race official presents a trophy to Joan Merriam Smith, 24. Vivacious, confident, maybe a bit cocky. She looks like a pilot in her logo-filled flight jacket.
Congratulations to our winner, Miss Joan Smith. She adds another victory to her perfect record. Very impressive, young lady.
Thank you.
The audience, including Jerrie and Russ, applauds.
It was a challenging race against a group of formidable competitors. Well done to all of you.
The audience applauds before Joan delivers her closing.
And as serious pilots, I know we all look forward to the day when this banner will only need to say, "Welcome National Air Racers."
The female pilots leap to their feet, clap and cheer. The men trade bemused looks. Jerrie glances at Russ. His expression keeps her seated. An hour later, a small combo plays as people converse in small groups. In one corner, Jerrie and Russ sip drinks in strained silence. Nearby, Joan finishes signing programs for several pilots. They leave. Jerrie joins her, eager for some conversation.
Congratulations, Mrs. Smith.
The women shake hands. Joan gets her pen ready.
What would you like me to sign?
Oh, no, nothing. I just wanted to introduce myself. Mrs. Jerrie Mock, from Bexley, Ohio, near Columbus.
Ohio. The weather there is terrible. If you're serious about flying, you should move to Southern California.
I'm sure my kids would love it, but my husband's career.
Jerrie trails off, but Joan knows exactly what she means.
Flying can be a career too.
Bored with this, Joan glances at some men across the room.
Excuse me, I've got to say goodbye to my sponsors.
Joan heads towards the men. Jerrie rejoins Russ.
I hope you weren't sharing any secrets with your competition.
What secrets could I possibly give to a woman with 10,000 flight hours?
Your recipe for pot roast?
Jerrie doesn't smile. Russ doesn't notice. Exterior Ohio, Bexley Mock House, day. Super Bexley, Ohio. On a cold, rainy day, a taxi leaves Russ and Jerrie at a modest two-story house. Interior Ohio, Bexley Mock House, entry continuous. Jerrie and Russ enter. Their excited children, Roger, 14, Gary, 13, and Valerie, 3, race in to greet them.
Did you win?
I finished.
What place?
I was the last one to land.
Disappointment fills the boys' faces.
I'll do better next time, you'll see.
How was Miami?
Mrs. Mock, 60, Russ's mother, bruises in. She hugs Jerrie.
Delightful. Sunny and warm.
Well, we can't wait to hear all about it. I'll bet it was exciting flying in your first race.
Interior, Ohio, Bexley Mock House kitchen that night. At the sink, Jerrie washes the final few dinner dishes. At the table, Russ peruses a race schedule in Flying Magazine.
Here's one in September, Cleveland to Atlanta. Finish in the top 5, you get a check. If you push yourself a little, you could buy that dishwasher you've always wanted.
Jerrie ignores the jab while she dunks a plate into the water. She glances at the steady rain falling outside the window, a perfect match for her mood.
You know, it was so clear when I was over the Gulf, on a cloud in the sky. There was a moment when I just wanted to keep flying east until I could see the sun coming up again.
A pause while Russ ponders what she just said. Then,
So why don't you?
Why don't I what?
Keep flying east. Until you've gone completely around the world.
she remains silent. He continues.
I don't think any woman has done it yet. If that's true, you could become the female Lindbergh. Think about the endorsement deals we could...
Maybe I should agree to do this first.
Why wouldn't you?
I can think of 3 reasons. Roger, Gary, and Valerie.
My mother can take care of them while you're gone.
That's not what I meant.
You've always said you wanted flying to be more than a hobby. Here's your chance.
She hangs up her apron, gives him a quick kiss.
While you're busy planning my escape from Bexley, I'm going to bed. Good night.
Interior, Ohio, Bexley, Mock House, bedroom, night. Russ sleeps while restless Jerrie stares at the ceiling. The muffled sound of an approaching piston engine airplane outside stirs distant memories. Begin flashbacks. Exterior sky, Ford, trimotor, flying 1933, day. Super, 1933. A Ford trimotor, 3 right radial engines roaring, flies into view. Passengers stare out the windows, including an excited 7-year-old girl. Interior, Ford trimotor flying, cabin continuous. Jerrie, bright, precocious, she smiles at her mother, who sits across from her. Best day of her life. Jerrie's silver bracelet catches the eye of a passing stewardess. She stops to admire it.
Darling, that is a lovely bracelet.
Thank you. My grandmother gave it to me. May I go meet the pilots?
The stewardess looks at Jerrie's mother for permission. She nods, but Jerrie is already out of her seat, dashing forward. Interior Ford trimotor flying, cockpit seconds later. Jerrie steps up between the pilot and co-pilot. The instrument panel mesmerizes her. The view enthralls her.
I'm Jerrie. This is my first plane ride.
Welcome aboard, Jerrie. You want to watch us make a turn?
She nods. The pilot turns the wheel, banks the plane left.
See that? Easy as pie.
He returns to level flight while Jerrie stares at the controls. The magical reins of this amazing machine.
You thinking about becoming a stewardess when you grow up?
No, sir. I want to be a pilot.
The pilots trade looks. She has a lot to learn.
Sorry to disappoint you, young lady, but flying is a man's job.
Pre-lap, the roar of a P-51 Merlin engine grows louder. Exterior, Ohio. Lockbourne Air Base, headquarters, 1945, day. Super, 1945. A P-51 zooms 500 feet over Jerrie, 19, as she exits a taxi. The silver bracelet on her wrist. Her serious demeanor belies her youthful appearance. She strides towards the entrance. Several men and soldiers ogle her. She ignores them, like she always does. Interior, Ohio, Lockbourne Air Base, headquarters, continuous. At his desk, an Army Air Corps Captain 27 reviews paperwork. Jerrie arrives, knocks on the open door, enters.
Excuse me, sir?
The captain looks up and likes what he sees.
What can I do for you, little lady?
I want to join the Women's Air Force Service Pilots.
Is this some kind of high school prank?
I'm an engineering student at Ohio State, sir.
Well, I hate to burst your bubble, baby doll, but the Army canceled that program, and between you and me, I'm glad they did. We can't have a bunch of women in the Army Air Force thinking they can fly as well as the men.
The captain offers Jerrie a recruiting pamphlet.
But we do need nurses. They make great dance partners.
Jerrie resists the urge to slap him, turns and exits. Pre-lap, the sound of a Cessna 140 engine grows louder. Exterior, Ohio Columbus Airfield, hangar, day. Super, 1946. A Cessna 140 flies overhead while Jerrie leans her bike against the hangar, next to her flying lessons sign. Interior, Ohio Columbus Airfield, hangar, continuous. Jerrie enters and strides towards a flight instructor, 50. Feet on his desk, eyes riveted to the sports page.
Whatever you're selling, I ain't buying.
I'm not selling anything. You are.
Shocked, he drops the paper, swings around, sizes her up. Against his ingrained instincts, he makes an offer.
Okay, kiddo. $10 an hour for the plane, $5 for me. You toss your lunch, you're grounded.
Exterior sky, Piper Cub, flying day. An old Piper Cub chugs through the deep blue sky. Interior Piper Cub, flying, continuous. Jerrie sits in front of the noisy cockpit, the bored flight instructor in back. Both yell to be heard.
Okay, give me a right turn.
Jerrie banks the plane into a crisp turn. He's incredulous.
You sure you've never flew a plane before?
Never, sir.
Not too bad for a girl.
She smiles, despite his faint face. End flashbacks. The sound of the airplane and the memories fade.
Russ,
He stirs.
I want to do it.
Right now?
No. I want to fly around the world.
Russ checks his alarm clock, 4:08.
You couldn't wait till 6 to tell me?
I thought you'd be excited about this.
He takes a few seconds to focus.
Right, I am. We'll get started.
Russ stumbles out of bed.
As soon as I put on some coffee.
Interior Ohio, Bexley Mock House kitchen, day. Jerrie, Mrs. Mock, and the children converse while they eat breakfast. A grinning Russ enters. He kisses Jerrie.
I just got off the phone with the NAA. You'd definitely be the first woman to do this.
First to do what?
Didn't she tell you? Jerry's taking Charlie for a solo spin around the world.
Mrs. Mock drops her toast.
Cool.
When?
If I do this, it would have to be next year. This will take months of planning.
One race and you think you're Amelia Earhart.
Amelia Earhart disappeared over the Pacific in 1937.
Mrs. Mock looks at Jerrie. She sure did. Exterior Ohio, Bexley Junior High School, day. Jerrie, with Roger in front and Gary in back, turns her old station wagon into the school driveway. She joins a long line of other moms, not one dad in sight. Interior station wagon continuous. Roger and Gary grab their books.
Are you really going to fly around the world by yourself?
I'm giving it some serious thought.
Nothing's going to happen to you, right?
Gary's question catches Jerrie by surprise.
I would be extremely careful.
You better.
The boys bolt. Still shaken by Gary's question, Jerrie turns the wheel, pulls to the end of the driveway, takes one glance back at her precious sons before she turns into traffic. Honk! Exterior Ohio, Bexley Junior High School, continuous. A male driver slams on the brakes and swerves to avoid Jerry's car. He shakes his fist at her.
Woman driver!
Interior station wagon, continuous. Jerrie gathers her wits before she eases into traffic. Interior Ohio, Bexley Mock House, basement, day. Super May 1963. At her desk, Jerrie studies a Cessna manual. Russ enters. Thud goes his briefcase. His signal, it's been a long day.
How did it go?
They didn't like super suds for super moms.
Russ removes his suit jacket. By habit, Jerrie takes it and brushes off the lint. He continues.
You know what the problem is? Women keep changing their minds. They don't want to do the laundry anymore, but they want the laundry done. And clean clothes, go figure.
He says.
Boy, if I'd landed that account.
He trails off. A few awkward seconds pass.
Why don't I cancel my flight, at least until your agency gets going?
No, listen. After my presentation, I called Rickenbacker. The Air Force might be willing to help us.
He gives her a slip of paper from his pocket.
You're meeting with General Sharp on Friday. And don't worry about your expenses. I'll get some sponsors. I'll also call the Ledger to see if they can gin up some publicity.
Russ, I'd rather wait until I'm ready to leave before we make any announcements.
If you're going to make history, we might as well make the most of it.
Exterior Ohio, Rickenbacker Air Force Base, headquarters, day. Jerrie parks her station wagon. Interior station wagon, continuous. Jerrie applies lipstick, powders her face, returns everything to her purse, snaps it shut. One last check opens the door. Exterior Ohio, Rickenbacker Air Force Base, headquarters, minutes later. Jerrie strides towards the entrance while Air Force officers and enlisted men enter and exit the building.
Let me get this straight.
Interior, Ohio, Rickenbacker Air Force Base headquarters minutes later. Jerrie speaks with Brigadier General Joseph Sharp, 48, a no-nonsense bomber pilot, enveloped in a cigar smoke haze.
You want to fly solo around the world?
Yes, sir.
How many hours do you have?
600, give or take.
Our fledglings in primary flight school graduate with more than 400 hours, and they're just getting started.
He draws on his cigar to punctuate his point.
Multi-engine?
No, sir, my Cessna.
A single engine? He can't believe this.
You do realize you'll be flying long legs over water.
He hopes that sinks in. It doesn't. She continues.
So, based on your experience, what do you think would be the best route for me? East or west?
Sharp studies her. Her eyes never leave him. He draws on his cigar, exhales. The smoke engulfs him. She doesn't flinch. He glances at a newspaper on his desk. USSR launches first woman into space and sees a way to even the score.
Tell you what, I'll get my staff to plot out a few routes for you. Nothing else, it'll be good training for them.
Interior, Ohio, Bexley, Mock House, kitchen, day. At the stove, Jerrie prepares spaghetti sauce. Russ enters.
How'd it go?
After some initial turbulence, General Sharp offered to help.
Good. And while you were charming the Air Force, I talked to the Ledger. They've agreed to be one of your sponsors with some funding.
How much?
Russ hedges a little.
Enough to get us started. But in return, they get exclusive rights to your story. Sort of like that Life magazine deal with the astronauts.
That's a little presumptuous, comparing me to the astronauts.
Who knows? NASA may want you after this flight.
He dips his finger into the sauce, tastes it, delicious.
I know the astronauts would appreciate your cooking.
Interior, Ohio, Bexley, Mock House, living room, night. Family time. Russ reads the paper on the floor next to a large globe. Jerrie converses with Roger and Gary.
Crossing the Pacific, I'll have to stop on Guam, Wake, Midway, and Hawaii. See if you can locate them.
Gary's eyes roam the Pacific with a magnifying glass. Jerry's eyes lock on Hawaii. Then she looks at Russ.
Why don't you fly out to Hawaii when I get there? We could finally take the honeymoon we've never had.
I'll see how everything goes.
Meanwhile, Gary struggles to find the tiny islands.
How are you going to find these?
I'll home in on their radio signals, just like the airliners. A device on Charlie's instrument panel lets me do that.
Speaking of Charlie, the Ledger wants us to come up with a better name. Something historic, like Spirit of St. Louis or Friendship 7.
How about Spirit of Ohio?
Russ considers it for a second. Doesn't resonate.
Nah, might make people think of Cleveland.
Well, what about the Spirit of Columbus? Columbus the city, Columbus the explorer.
Could work. To the Spirit of Columbus, may she never fly off the edge of the world.
Interior, Ohio, Columbus, Columbus Ledger, office, day. Ernie Williams, 57, a rumpled local beat reporter whose star has long ago dimmed, enters. He plops down into a chair.
What's cooking?
At her desk, Kathy Evans, 60s. The hard-boiled managing editor hands him a folder.
Next spring, Mrs. Jerrie Mock from Bexley plans to fly her Cessna around the world, solo. Our paper has agreed to sponsor her. I'm giving you the story.
He opens the folder, glances at the notes inside.
A housewife? Get one of the society girls to cover this stunt.
He stands, drops the folder on her desk.
Mr. Williams, if she pulls this off, this could be the story that gets you back on page 1.
Ouch. Evans nods at the folder. He looks at her, tired of mediocre assignments, but something compels him to grab it.
This better be on the level.
Exterior, Ohio, Columbus, airport hangar, day. Jerrie parks her station wagon. Interior, Ohio, Columbus, airport hangar, minutes later. Jerrie passes several new single-engine airplanes before she reaches her old Cessna 180 near the open hangar door. She runs her hand down the fuselage, along the leading edges, feels the small dings and dents from many hours in the air. At the cowling, she raises the engine cover, checks the oil, closes the cover, pats it. To her, more than just a machine.
Okay, Charlie, do you think I'm crazy for doing this?
I don't know, Mrs. Mock, are you?
Startled, Jerrie turns around. Williams ambles towards her.
Ernie Williams with the Ledger.
He sizes up Jerrie. Definitely not what he expected.
So, you're the gal who wants to become the next Amelia Earhart.
I hope not. She didn't make it.
Right, and she was a pro.
Williams runs his hand down the scuffed fuselage, pushes on the thin metal coverings, Can't believe how flimsy it feels.
Good Lord, lady. What makes you think you can fly this rattle trap around the world?
Jerry considers his question, then responds.
Before I answer, will you go around to the other strut?
Exterior Ohio, Columbus, airport hangar, seconds later. At the port and starboard wing struts, respectively, Jerry and Williams push the Cessna out from the open hangar door.
That's good, thank you.
They stop the Cessna.
Hop in.
Now, hold on, Mrs. Mock.
What's wrong?
If God had meant for us to fly, he'd have given us wings.
She nods at the nearby parked airplanes.
Look around. He did.
Jerry enters the Cessna while Williams ponders his predicament. Left with no face-saving options, he enters. Interior Cessna 180 continuous. Williams fastens his seatbelt. Jerry gives him a headset. He puts it on, backwards. Jerry motions for him to turn it around. He does. Fumbles with the attached microphone.
Relax, Mr. Williams. I think you'll find flying very exhilarating. Clear!
She starts the engine. It stutters to life. The plane shakes, rattles, feels like the whole darn thing is falling apart. Interior Cessna 180 flying minutes later. Hands on the flight controls, Jerry glances at Williams. His dour expression says it all.
How's the view?
Williams peeks at the ground, 3,000 feet below. With that, his sightseeing portion is over.
Well, let's just get this over with. I'll start with one question every reader will want to know. Why did you become a pilot?
I remember reading a quote in college. To fly is to be free from the bonds of ordinary life. Whoever wrote it was right. Now this is something every pilot needs to master.
Williams looks at her. What could that possibly be?
Recovering from a stall.
She pulls back on the yoke, cuts the throttle. The Cessna noses up, stalls. The stall horn screeches. The Cessna pitches down into a roller coaster dive. Williams grabs his fedora, holds it under his chin. Exterior Ohio, Columbus, airport hangar, later. Jerry parks her Cessna. The propeller stutters to a stop. Williams, fedora in hand, leaps from the Cessna, dashes towards a distant trash can. He reaches it. In goes the hat. Interior Ohio, Bexley, Mock House kitchen, day. Jerry prepares breakfast for Roger, Gary, and Valerie. Russ enters, the Columbus Ledger newspaper in hand. He beams.
Gang, your mother is a celebrity.
He unfolds the front page headline. Jerrie Mock, flying housewife, plans round-the-world solo flight. Below it, a photo of Jerry next to her Cessna. Interior California, Long Beach, Smith House, kitchen, day. Super, Long Beach, California. The Los Angeles Times newspaper with the same headline and picture, buried on page 12, rests on the counter.
Good morning.
Joan enters, hugs and kisses her husband, Navy Lieutenant and pilot M.G. Jack Smith, 27. He gives her the paper.
Take a look at this.
She skims the headline. He pours a cup of coffee and stands by for heavy rolls.
The flying housewife? How condescending.
Then it hits her.
I met her in Miami. She finished last, and now she thinks she can fly around the world. I've been planning this for 8 years. She's stealing my idea.
Jack offers her the coffee.
Don't get angry, get busy.
She takes the cup. He points to the article.
This says she plans to leave next spring. That gives you 8 months to prepare. It'll be tight, but I think you can do it.
She stares at the article, then tears it out of the paper and thumbtacks it to a bulletin board.
She doesn't know who she's up against.
Interior Ohio, Columbus, airport hangar, day. Jerry waits while mechanic Dave Blanton, 58, a man who lives and breathes airplanes, finishes examining her Cessna.
All right, let's see if we can get you and your Cessna around the world. First, we'll replace the back seats with an extra fuel tank. That'll give you enough range to cross the Pacific.
She takes note while he ticks off more items.
You'll also need a long-range radio, a second RDF, and a complete engine rebuild. And I'm going to replace both magnetos. After a couple hundred hours, they can get real temperamental, just like a...
He stops short of woman. Jerry spares him embarrassment.
I know what you mean, Mr. Blanton. I've met quite a few temperamental pilots. When can you get me an estimate?
Interior Ohio, Bexley, Mock House basement, night. Russ reviews Blanton's written cost estimate with Jerry. His eyes go to the bottom line. $9,655. A small fortune.
Whew.
I think I can eliminate some of these.
No, we can't afford to have you break down halfway through your flight, especially with the whole world watching. You get started. I'll take care of this.
Exterior California Long Beach Airport hangar day. Male reporters and cameramen cool their heels in front of the closed hangar door. In this heat, this better be good. From inside the hangar, Joan slides open the large door to reveal her gleaming twin-engine Piper Apache aircraft. Attired in her flight jacket, she exits the hangar with Jack alongside, puts on her sunglasses, strides to the reporters. She definitely has their attention.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for coming out today.
I hope it was worth it.
The reporters chuckle. She gives it right back,
Me too.
then settles them down. She continues.
Next spring, I will depart from Oakland Airport in my Piper Apache, fly east, and retrace Amelia Earhart's route around the world.
Murmurs erupt among the reporters.
But unlike her, I will be alone.
Pens hit notepads at Scoop, after all.
First woman around the world is a pretty dangerous stunt to attempt. Few gals have tried, one never made it back. Why do you want to give it a go?
Because it's a record that can't be broken once it's set.
Does that mean you're racing that flying housewife from Ohio?
She glares at him. Did he have to bring her up?
I hope not. For her sake.
Laughter erupts from the reporters.
Do you think it's irresponsible for that Ohio woman to try, given her lack of experience?
You'll have to ask her about her lack of experience.
How do you feel about this flight?
Envious.
Interior Ohio Bexley Bank office day. Russ reviews loan paperwork with a loan officer.
This is the best you can do?
That's a very generous estimate of your equity, considering you already have a business loan.
Russ interrupts.
Never mind. This will work.
He signs a $10,000 second mortgage loan. Interior Ohio Columbus Airport hangar day. Jerry observes Blanton and another mechanic lift the engine from the Cessna 180. Williams enters, newspaper in hand.
Take a gander at this.
He shows Jerry a headline, Renowned Aviatrix Joan Merriam Smith to race amateur Ohio housewife around the world.
Any comments, my dear?
Not really, but she answers anyway.
I wish her all the best.
You really think you've got a shot against a professional?
You don't stand a chance against this woman.
Interior Ohio Bexley Mock House basement night. At her desk, Jerry fills out an order from an aviation parts catalog. Russ paces with the newspaper in hand, his angry eyes focused on the Smith article.
Why'd she foul this up for us?
I knew we shouldn't have said anything.
She catches herself.
What?
Nothing.
Well, whatever it takes, you will win this race.
Russ, this was never meant to be a race.
Well, it is now.
Interior Ohio Columbus Airport hangar day. At her Cessna, Jerry, Blanton, and another mechanic work on the disassembled engine. In pieces it looks small, fragile, certainly not strong enough to pull Charlie around the world. Interior California Long Beach Airport hangar day. At her Piper Apache, Joan and two mechanics dismantle her powerful port engine. Hands greasy, she relishes this work. Montages of Jerry and Joan aircraft preparations. Jerry Blanton and another mechanic install the long-range radio antenna reel under the fuselage. Joan and a mechanic reattach the port propeller. Jerry and Blanton remove the back seats from the Cessna. Joan helps mechanics install new brakes on the landing gear. Blanton installs another RDF in the instrument panel. From the cockpit, Joan lowers the flaps while a mechanic gives a thumbs up. Painted on the Cessna's nose, the spirit of Columbus. Painted on the Piper Apache's nose, City of Long Beach. End montage. Interior Cessna 180 flying day. Jerry pilots. Blanton instructs.
Refilling your wing tanks will take 4 steps. First, open the transfer valve.
He opens the transfer valve next to the auxiliary fuel tank.
Turn on the pump.
He turns on the pump.
It'll move fuel from this tank into both of your wing tanks.
He checks the wing fuel gauges, nearly empty. A few minutes later, the wing gauges show full.
Now, this is the very dicey part. Shut off the pump.
He shuts off the pump.
Close the transfer valve.
He closes the valve. The engine sputters. The nose drops. A few 10 seconds pass before the engine revs back up. Phew.
Once fuel flow resumes, the engine should restart.
Jerry looks at him. Should restart? Interior, Ohio, Rickenbacker Air Force Base, Headquarters Office Day. Super March 1964. An officer and Jerry pack aeronautical charts. Sharp enters.
My staff tells me you're getting close to pulling chocks.
March 30th.
He offers Jerry a folder.
Pack this with your charts. It is a list of our bases along with your route, with contact numbers. I've ordered them to stand by with any assistance you might need.
She takes it.
I appreciate this, but I hope I won't need it.
Me too. Make America proud. After what the Russians have been doing to us, we need some points on our scoreboard.
General, that's not why I'm doing this.
The Russians will think you are. Why do you think we're involved?
Exterior California Oakland Airport Hangar Day. Super March 17th, 1964. In the early morning light, the Piper Apache behind her, Joan speaks to reporters and a large crowd. Calm, poised, she's ready to go. Jack in uniform stands next to her.
In a few minutes, I will begin my journey to finish what Amelia Earhart started exactly 27 years ago today. If all goes well, I'll return here in April.
Cameras flash, reporters scribble. People shout, "Good luck, Joan!" She and Jack return to the Piper Apache. Their eyes meet, maybe for the last time. They hug, hold on for a moment longer. Jack releases her, opens the door.
Fly safe and I'll keep the champagne on ice.
Joan, touched by his words, kisses him before she climbs into the pilot's seat. He shuts the door. The crowd moves back.
Clear?
She starts the starboard engine. It fires to life. She starts the port engine. It fires to life. Power ripples through the airframe. The plane shudders, straining to be unleashed. She taxis towards the distant runway. Exterior California, Long Beach Airport runway continuous. The Piper Apache accelerates, takes off. Released from the shackles of the earth, it climbs, turns, and heads east until it disappears into the clouds. Interior Ohio, Bexley Mock House Kitchen, continuous. Russ reads the paper. Jerry prepares breakfast for the kids. A knock at the back door. Williams barges in, out of breath.
This ought to shake up your day.
Williams hands Jerry an Associated Press bulletin. She reads. She sneaks a piece of bacon. Waits for the fireworks.
What is it?
Joan left an hour ago.
Russ goes ballistic.
That means you've got to go. Now.
I can't go now. I'm still sorting out the bugs with my new RDF, and
Your flight plans are finished, you have your visas, and everything else checks out.
I'll need 2 RDFs when I'm over the Pacific.
Your old RDF works just fine.
Go, Mom, you can do it.
Don't let the other lady beat you.
Jerry considers her dilemma, but there's only one response.
I hope you don't mind TV dinners for the next few nights.
Exterior Ohio, Columbus Airport Hangar Day. Super, March 19, 1964. Sunny, cold, an excited crowd waits. At the Cessna, now with a few sponsor stickers on the fuselage, Williams, Russ, the children, Mrs. Mock, Blanton, the governor, Sharp, and others surround Jerry.
The proud citizens of Ohio will be following you every step of the way, Mrs. Mock. Good luck.
He shakes Jerry's hand. Cameras flash. Sharp steps up.
Some Air Force advice for you.
He gives her a printed card. Landings equals takeoffs.
I'll add this to my checklist.
Now the hard part. Jerry hugs her children. A flash of doubt before she releases them. She looks at their faces. Is this the right thing to do? Roger offers his high school ring.
For good luck, but I want it back.
I'll return it to you personally.
She puts it into her jacket pocket. Russ hugs and kisses her.
Please be careful. But remember, Joan has a 2-day head start.
Russ, right now I'm focused on my flight, not hers.
Interior, Cessna 180, continuous. Jerry enters the cockpit, crowded with supplies and equipment. She shuts the door. Affixes the 3x5 card to the instrument panel next to the family picture. Puts on her headset, fastens her seatbelt. Exterior Ohio, Columbus Airport hangar seconds later. The police direct the crowd away from the Cessna. Jerry yells out through her pilot side window.
Clear!
Interior Cessna 180 continuous. Jerry starts her engine. The Cessna shakes and rattles, raring to go. She releases the brakes. Exterior Ohio, Columbus Airport runway, minutes later. The Cessna holds on the end marks, propeller spinning. It strains against the brakes.
138 Charlie, cleared for takeoff.
Columbus Tower, 138 Charlie, cleared for takeoff.
Godspeed, Jerrie Mock.
The engine spins up to a steady drone as the Cessna accelerates. After 1,500 feet, it lifts into the air. Interior Cessna 180 flying seconds later. Jerrie touches the family picture. Will she see them again? Her hand returns to the controls. Time to make sure she does. Exterior sky Cessna 180 flying continuous. The Cessna turns east, a tiny speck in an endless blue sky. Interior Florida Miami Airport hangar, same day. At a payphone, a frustrated Joan speaks with Jack. Visible outside the window, a mechanic works on Joan's Piper Apache.
2 control cable connections need to be replaced, so I'm stuck in Miami for another day.
Interior California Long Beach Smith House kitchen, saying. Jack speaks on the phone.
At least you caught it now before you were over the Atlantic.
Intercut between Joan and Jack.
I should have caught it before I left Oakland. If it hadn't been for that Ohio housewife, did she ever get off the ground?
She left for Bermuda 3 hours ago, but don't let her be a distraction. You're way ahead.
Exterior sky Cessna 180 flying later that day. 8,000 feet over the Atlantic, the Cessna plods through a deep blue sky. Occasional turbulence bounces the little plane. Interior Cessna 180 flying continuous. Jerrie, wearing her inflatable life vest, flips the streaming antenna switch. Exterior 180 flying continuous. A reel under the Cessna turns. An antenna strains out. Interior Cessna 180 flying continuous. Jerrie turns on her long-range HF radio. The dial fails to illuminate. She cycles the switch. No luck.
Bermuda Air Traffic Control, 138 Charlie. Do you read?
Static. She cycles the switch yet again.
Bermuda Air Traffic Control, do you read?
Static. She switches to her short-range radio.
Norfolk Air Traffic Control, 138 Charlie. Do you read?
Static. She turns on the new RDF, sets the frequency. Nothing. She cycles the switch. The needles remains fixed. She glances at her old RDF. The needle wiggles back and forth, but generally points east. She retrieves her air chart.
Okay, Charlie. We'll do this the old-fashioned way.
She makes calculations with her whiz wheel. Slide rule flight computer. Marks her estimated position on her chart. 4 hours later, Jerrie rubs her tired eyes, glances at her old RDF needle. It points east. She glances outside. Thick as pea soup. Turbulence bounces the plane.
Bermuda Air Traffic Control, 138 Charlie. Do you read?
Static. She tries again.
Bermuda Air Traffic Control, 138 Charlie. Do you read?
Static before a voice breaks through.
138 Charlie, Bermuda Air Traffic Control. We have you on radar.
Through the window, Bermuda becomes visible through a break in the clouds, a beautiful sight for tired eyes. Exterior Bermuda Airport runway, minutes later. In strong winds, the Cessna 180 descends towards the runway. Exterior Bermuda Airport terminal, minutes later. Jerrie parks her Cessna 180. Wind buffets the plane as she shuts down the engine. A few dozen reporters, officials, spectators, and Wes Armstrong, 50, wait to greet her. Jerrie exits her plane. Reporters barrage her for questions.
Mrs. Mock, do your kids worry about you crashing?
How far do you think you'll get with this stunt?
How does it feel to be racing a professional?
She hates the attention, but handles it with grace.
Gentlemen, my flight went well. I have a long way to go, but this first leg was a good one to test me and the spirit of Columbus. Thank you.
She smiles, waves. The crowd applauds. Reporters shout more inane questions. Armstrong intercedes, shakes her hand.
Wes Armstrong from our consulate. I'll get you through customs.
He guides her through the swirling sea of people. Jerrie glances back at her Cessna. Attendants tie it down with heavy ropes. We notice her concerned look.
We're expecting strong winds tonight.
Interior Bermuda Airport terminal office minutes later. Jerrie speaks on a phone.
It's me. I'm in Bermuda.
How was your flight?
I hit a lot of turbulence over the Atlantic, and neither my long-range radio nor my new RDF worked.
Interior Ohio Bexley Mock House kitchen continuous. Russ speaks on the phone. Roger, Gary, Valerie, and Mrs. Mock listen while they eat dinner.
But you made it.
Intercut between Jerrie and Russ.
Yes, I managed.
That's my girl.
Easy for him to say.
How are the kids?
Say hi, gang.
Roger, Gary, and Valerie yell, "Hi, Mom!"
Tell them I love them.
She loves you. Listen, I don't know when Joan's leaving Miami, but you need to get going first thing in the morning.
I'll try, but we're expecting gale force winds tomorrow.
Then you need to refuel right now and fly on to the Azores.
Russ, I need a good night's sleep.
If you let Joan gain more ground, you'll never catch her.
And if I don't finish my paperwork, I'll never get out of this airport. I'll talk to you soon. Good night.
She hangs up. Interior Suriname, Paramaribo, Airport Terminal Day. Super March 21, 1964. Paramaribo, Suriname. At the window, Joan watches Rain lash her Piper Apache outside. A uniformed man arrives. He offers a thick stack of papers.
Your flight plan has been approved.
Sir, it's obvious I won't be leaving today.
He pulls back the papers.
Then you will need to file these again tomorrow.
Why can't I just change the date on these?
That is not permissible.
She fumes as he departs with his thick stack of bureaucracy. Interior Bermuda, Hamilton Hotel, room day. Wind and rain pummel the windows while Jerrie writes a postcard to her family. She finishes, then glances at the storm outside. Frustration fills her face. Interior Ohio, Bexley, Russ's office, continuous. A single-room office with a sign on the wall that reads, RM Advertising, clearly a one-man operation with few clients.
You said we'd get $1,000.
Behind his desk, Russ holds a $500 check from Champion Spark Plugs while he speaks on the phone.
Yes, I know she hasn't left Bermuda, but she'll leave the minute the weather clears. Of course she'll finish first, or you'll get back every penny.
Interior Ohio, Columbus Ledger Office, day. On one desk, in a bullpen of many desks, a typewriter holds a blank piece of paper. William stares at it. Next to his desk, a world map tacked to a portable bulletin board, with Jerry Cessna's silhouette on Bermuda, Joan's Piper Apache silhouette on Suriname.
What's the latest?
Evans joins him, looks at the map, then the blank paper.
Both gals are socked in by weather, so it's still a race. We've got a pool going, $1 minimum. You in?
Where's today's article on Jerry?
She already knows the answer.
On my desk, by noon, please.
Interior California, Navy Base, Officers Club, bar, night. Jack in uniform eats alone at the bar. At tables around him, Navy officers converse among themselves. 2 officers enter. They join Jack, eager to jerk his chain.
How's the flying away?
Joan is still grounded in Suriname. Maybe that's God's way of saying turn around and go home, huh? She'll be on her way once the weather clears.
Listen, scuttlebutt has it the skipper's not real happy about Joan's little jaunt. Thinks it sets a bad example with the other wives.
You know the promotion board won't be happy about this. They want you focused on your duties, not your wife's exploits.
Jack takes the last bite.
Not every Navy wife wants to stay home and serve coffee to the other Navy wives. Good night, gentlemen.
Jack leaves $3, grabs his cover, and departs. Interior Bermuda Airport Terminal Office, day. Super March 26, 1964. Rain falls outside. Jerry, Mr. Armstrong, and several weathermen discuss the forecast.
This afternoon, we may have a few hours of clear skies, but tonight, conditions will deteriorate again.
And along my route?
Conditions will vary between marginal and fair with frequent turbulence. Given the long flying time to the Azores, that might be a bit much for you to handle.
A bit much for me to handle.
The men exchange uncomfortable looks, definitely not used to dealing with this kind of woman.
I meant no disrespect, Miss Mock. I simply mean to point out piloting your aircraft in these conditions might not be easy.
If piloting an aircraft was easy, everyone would be flying around the world.
She stands, her mind made up.
If there's a break, I'll depart.
Interior Ohio, Rickenbacker Air Force Base, Command Center, day. Air Force officers and men work at desks in front of a large map which shows the status of Air Force units around the world. The pace is frantic. Phones ring. Typewriters clack. A major supervises. Sharp enters.
Where is she?
At the map, near Bermuda, the major points to a small magnet labeled Mock.
She just left Bermuda. I've alerted Lajes Air Force Base. She's en route to Santa Maria. Apparently she's having problems with her radios, so we're sending some men to help.
Good. Keep me informed. This has high-level interest now.
He turns to leave, stops. One more thing.
The same goes for the other girl.
Can't recall her name.
Smith?
Right. Get her on the board. Between the two of them, one might just make it.
Exterior Suriname, Paramaribo Airport, apron, day. Joan watches an attendant refuel her auxiliary tank. After a few seconds, fuel pours onto the ground from under the fuselage.
Stop the pump.
The man stops fueling. Joan opens her cockpit door. Fuel streams out from a seam of the starboard auxiliary tank. Interior Suriname, Paramaribo Airport Terminal later. An agitated Joan speaks on a payphone.
I personally pressure tested that tank before I left.
Interior California, Long Beach, Smith House, kitchen, same. Jack speaks on the phone.
Do you want me to fly down there to lend a hand? I could take a few days of leave.
No, whatever it takes, I will fix this and be underway tomorrow.
Interior Cessna 180 flying day. In the fading light of the setting sun, Jerrie, wearing her life vest, checks her chart, marks her estimated position, measures the distance to Santa Maria, Azores, 1,800 miles. She reaches for a lunch bag. It slips behind the gas tank. Ugh, now it's really going to be a long day. 8 hours later, Jerrie stares into the darkness. Her exterior flashing red beacon casts an eerie glow on her face and the thick clouds outside. She glances at the port wing strut. Is that ice? She shines a flashlight on it. Definitely ice. She checks her altimeter. 7,000 feet. Descent rate 100 feet per minute. Not good.
Santa Maria Control, 138 Charlie. I have ice. Request clearance to flight level 110.
Static. She looks at the altimeter, descending past 6,600 feet. No time to waste.
Santa Maria Control, 138 Charlie. Repeat, I have ice. Request clearance to flight level 110.
Static. The altimeter checks 6,000 feet. Still descending.
Santa Maria Control, this is
138 Charlie, Santa Maria Control, clear to flight level 110.
138 Charlie, climbing to 110.
She pushes the throttle forward. RPM increases. The Cessna, heavy with ice, struggles. The engine strains against the extra load. The Cessna shudders. 10 seconds pass. Then a slow increase in altitude. Exterior sky, Cessna flying continuous. The Cessna 180 breaks through the clouds into bright moonlight. Water from melting ice streams from the wings. Interior Cessna 180 flying continuous. Jerrie shines the flashlight at her wing strut. Water from melting ice streams behind it. She breathes a sigh of relief. Exterior Suriname, Paramaribo Airport apron later. Joan supervises 2 men who remove the starboard auxiliary fuel tank from the cockpit. Later, Joan rewells the fuel tank seam. Later, Joan pressure tests the tank. It holds. Exterior Azores Santa Maria Airport Terminal day. Super March 27, 1964. Jerrie parks her Cessna under the direction of a ground crewman. Several Air Force personnel with toolboxes, including a master sergeant, wait with the crowd. A weary Jerrie steps out of her plane. Cameras flash. Reporters surround her, batter her with questions. The last thing she needs right now, but she keeps her composure.
Mrs. Mock, what are you trying to prove with your dangerous stunt?
that Cessna makes a great airplane.
The reporters chuckle.
Did you know Joan Smith is still stuck in South America?
No, but I know the feeling.
Who do you think would win this race?
The pilot who reaches home first.
More laughter as a master sergeant joins her.
Boys, give the lady some room, huh? General Sharp sent word you might need help with your RDF and radio.
Yes, I do.
The master sergeant nods at his men. They dash to the Cessna.
While we're working, the U.S. consulate has a room all squared away for you at a hotel.
Interior Azores Santa Maria hotel room day. Jerrie enters, sets down her suitcase, lies back on the bed. Exhausted, she falls asleep. Interior Ohio Bexley Mock House kitchen night. Mrs. Mock washes dishes. At the world map attached to a wall, Gary watches Roger tape Jerry's postcard above Bermuda. A transistor radio plays the latest rock and roll song. Russ paces, phone to ear.
Yes, operator. I've been waiting for 10 minutes.
Please hold. I have a connection.
Roger, turn that noise off.
Interior Azores Santa Maria Hotel continuous. Jerrie sleeps in the dark room. The phone rings. Jerrie stirs. Another ring. She fumbles for the phone, grabs it.
Hello?
Jerry?
Russ, what's wrong?
Intercut between Jerrie and Russ.
Nothing. We're fine here.
What time is it?
8 o'clock.
Jerrie checks her watch. 1 o'clock, middle of the darn night.
It's 1 o'clock here. You woke me.
Oh, I forgot about the difference. But I wanted you to know Joan made it to Brazil.
Not Joan again.
Relax, Russ. I'm leaving first thing in the morning, assuming I can get a good night's sleep. Tell everyone I love them. Good night.
She hangs out, rolls over, pulls the covers over her, shuts her eyes. A moment passes. She opens her eyes, takes the phone off the hook, and rolls back over. That should do it. 5 hours later, Jerry's alarm blares. 6 o'clock. She throws back the covers. Exterior Azores Santa Maria Airport Terminal, day. Next to the Cessna, the Master Sergeant speaks with Jerry.
We reconnected a loose wire in your long-range radio, but the RDF's got us stumped. It'd take a week to get a new one here.
I'll just have to go without it. I appreciate your help, Sergeant.
Gotta hand it to you, Mrs. Mock. You got guts. Hope you make it.
So do I.
With that, Jerry climbs into her plane for another long day. Exterior sky Cessna 180 flying minutes later. Jerry's Cessna climbs above the Atlantic Ocean. Exterior sky Piper Apache flying day. The Piper Apache flies over the vast forest. Interior Piper Apache flying continuous. From the pilot seat, Joan checks her air chart. Her finger traces her course from her present location onto Natal. She's close. Time to check in.
Natal Tower, 325 India Papa, request landing instructions.
Static. Then a reassuring reply.
325 India Papa Natal Tower. You are cleared for direct approach to runway 18.
Exterior Brazil, Natal Airport runway minutes later. Joan guides the Piper Apache to a landing. Exterior Brazil, Natal Airport terminal minutes later. Guided by a ground crewman, Joan parks her Piper Apache near the terminal entrance, the only plane in sight. That's odd. Interior Brazil, Natal Airport terminal minutes later. Joan enters. A lone airport manager greets her.
You may follow me to customs.
They stroll past deserted boarding gates. Joan notices.
Have all flights been cancelled?
Yes.
His demeanor rules out asking why. Interior Brazil, Natal Airport Customs Office continuous. Several customs officers listen to a transistor radio. The excited voice on it speaks rapidly in Portuguese. Joan and the airport manager enter. She sees the concerned looks of the men. Something's not right.
What's going on?
Our president is speaking.
Exterior sky Cessna 180 flying day. Soon March 28, 1964. The Cessna 180 flies above the Atlantic. On the horizon, Casablanca. Exterior Casablanca Airport runway minutes later. The Cessna 180 lands. Exterior Casablanca Airport terminal minutes later. Jerry parks her Cessna 180, cuts her engine. A group of stern-looking officials, all men, wait to greet her, including Frenchman Charles-Henri, 60, a real flirt. She exits her Cessna. The officials, not sure about this female pilot, remain aloof. Henri steps out to greet her with open arms, a Frenchman to the core.
Welcome, Madame Mock. I am Charles-Henri from the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale. I will assist you through customs.
Interior Casablanca Airport terminal minutes later. Henri and Jerry weave through a sea of harried passengers. Men aim suspicious eyes at her. Women, some in burqas, avoid her look. Kids offer shy smiles. She returns them. Interior Casablanca Airport Customs Office minutes later. Jerry enters with Henri. Several bored customs officers make no attempt to look busy. One lethargic officer motions to her. She and Henri join him. The officer speaks Arabic.
He will need your passport.
Jerry offers her passport. The officer takes it, records the serial number on a form. Finished, he looks up.
What is the purpose of your visit?
What is the purpose of your visit?
To refuel my plane and rest before I continue my flight.
To refuel her airplane and rest before she continues her flight.
What is your occupation?
What is your occupation?
The question catches Jerry by surprise.
Housewife.
Henri struggles with his translation.
A madame of the house.
The official stops writing, looks up at Henri. The other officials look at Henry. Animated discussions in Arabic erupt among the men. They gather around Henri. Jerry has no clue. The men glance at Jerry while their conversations grow emotional. Henri appears to be defending Jerry's honor.
Is there another occupation you can provide?
I don't understand.
In Arabic, housewife is translated to madame of the house. To them, not a good house or a madame.
Jerry considers this for a moment. She smiles.
Pilot.
She's a pilot.
The men exchanged relieved looks. So do Henri and Jerrie. Interior Casablanca hotel room night. Jerrie stands at the third-floor window, looks at a grand view of Casablanca. Her phone rings. She answers.
Russ?
Mrs. Mock?
Yes? Who's this?
Interior Ohio, Columbus Ledger office, continuous. Feet up on his desk, Williams speaks into the phone.
Ernie Williams. Doing what they pay me to do. How's Casablanca?
Intercut between Jerrie and Williams. Caught by surprise, it takes a second for her to reply.
Oh, yes. Very exotic. But I haven't run into Rick and Ilsa yet.
Williams doesn't get it.
Uh-huh.
How is Joan doing?
She's in Brazil. Not a good place to be right now.
Interior Brazil, Natal flight crew quarters, night. Pitch black. Rapid knocks on the door. Joan turns on the light, looks at the clock. 3 o'clock. More knocks.
1 minute, please.
Joan throws back the covers, gathers herself, strides to the door, flings it open, ready to let them have it.
What do you...
In the hallway, a Brazilian army major. Behind him, 6 armed soldiers. Serious armed soldiers.
Pack your bag and come with me.
What's going on?
Our president has resigned. The army is in charge now.
Sir, I need to...
Now, Miss Smith.
Exterior Brazil, Natal Airport Terminal, night. A military jeep arrives with the major, Joan, and 2 soldiers. 4 soldiers arrive in a jeep behind them. They stop at the entrance where the armed soldiers stand guard. Everyone exits the jeep. A harried Joan grabs her bag. Interior Brazil, Natal Airport Terminal, minutes later. The major leads Joan down the hallway. Armed soldiers follow them. Like yesterday, not a passenger in sight. Exterior Brazil, Natal Airport hangar, minutes later. Joan and the major stop at her Piper Apache.
Go.
Sir, I need to refuel, file a
We
flight plan.
We refueled your plane and filed your flight plan.
He shoves a flight plan into her hands.
I also need a weather report.
The sky is clear. Go, my commander sees spies everywhere.
Joan opens the Piper Apache door, slings her bag inside. One last look. The major nods, gets in. She does. Interior Piper Apache continues. Joan prepares for takeoff, glances at a small teddy bear perched on her instrument panel, touches it for good luck.
Clear.
She starts her starboard engine. She starts her port engine. Both run up to speed. She releases the brakes. Under the soldier's stern gaze, she taxis away. Exterior Brazil, Natal Airport runway, minutes later. Joan's Piper Apache lifts from the runway. Interior Piper Apache flying continuous. Joan turns east and heads for distant Africa. Interior Ohio, Bexley Mock House kitchen, day. Mrs. Mock prepares breakfast for Roger, Valerie, and Gary. Russ enters with the newspaper.
Morning, gang.
He pours a cup of coffee, sits, opens the paper, looks for and finds, flying housewife finds Casablanca exotic.
Your mother says she's enjoying Casablanca.
What's a Casablanca?
Casablanca. It's a city in Morocco. Show her, Roger.
Roger points to the city on the wall map.
Right here, way on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean.
Is she coming back?
She'll be home soon, darling.
Russ flips to the editorial page, finds several negative letters to the editor. His eyes burn with anger. Why did she leave her kids? Nothing but a dangerous publicity stunt. This woman doesn't know her place. Interior Ohio, Columbus Ledger, Evans' office, day. Evans works at her desk. Russ, newspaper in hand, enters. He drops the paper onto Evans' desk, points to the letters.
These letters won't make our sponsors happy. Stop printing them.
She picks up the paper, points to other letters.
Did you by chance read these? Jerrie is a courageous young lady. She is helping women everywhere. Bravo, Jerrie.
Russ backs off a bit. She continues.
I know Jerry's on a dangerous flight, but I have a newspaper to run, so I'll continue to print letters that reflect all points of view. If Jerrie is successful, and I pray she is, these naysayers will be proven wrong, and I will write the lead editorial praising her achievement.
Jerrie and I put everything on the line for this. And I mean everything.
He exits, leaving her to contemplate what he said. Interior Piper Apache flying, day. Turbulence bounces the Piper Apache. Joan checks her position on the chart. 600 miles west of Dakar, Senegal. She glances outside, thick as pea soup. Occasional lightning flashes. She checks altimeter, 11,000 feet, another bounce.
Senegal Control, 325 India Papa, request clearance to 150.
Another hard jolt to her plane. Only static on the radio.
Senegal, control, 325 India Papa. Repeat. Request clearance to 150. I have heavy turbulence.
325 India Papa, clear to flight level 150.
Joan grabs her oxygen mask, turns on the oxygen, puts it on. She breathes. Good flow. She pulls back on the yoke. Exterior sky, Piper Apache flying minutes later. The Piper Apache rises out of the clouds to bright sunlight. Interior Piper Apache flying continuous. Joan checks the altimeter, 15,000 feet, turbulence gone. She can finally relax, except for the uncomfortable mask. 4 hours later, back at 10,000 feet, Joan opens her thermos, empty, grabs her canteen, drinks the last few ounces. She finds a half-melted Hershey's bar, devours it. Interior Casablanca Airport Terminal Office Day, Super March 30, 1964. A French forecaster, Henri, and Jerry review a weather chart along the proposed flight path. The straight line from Casablanca to Tripoli across the rugged Atlas Mountains.
Storms are forecast along your entire route. The ceiling's less than 500 feet. Without radar, flying on instruments will be extremely dangerous.
Jerry stares at the map.
I really don't want to delay my departure another day.
You could go north and follow the coast around. The weather should be much better for you.
Jerry measures the distance between Casablanca and Tripoli via the coastline.
I would add over 300 miles to my route. I'd arrive in Tripoli well after sunset.
Unfortunately, there is a good chance of fog at that time.
More furrowing of brows until Henri gets an idea.
You could fly to Algeria, spend the night, then continue to Tripoli tomorrow. Better half the distance then, no?
30 minutes later, Jerry finishes her flight plan, signs it. Henri takes it.
Do not worry. I will file this.
She gives him a note.
Can you send this telegram to my husband? He needs to know that I won't be in Tripoli tonight. The address is on here.
Of course.
She offers her hand to shake.
Thank you.
He takes her hand and kisses it. Surprise!
Au revoir, Madame Mock. I cannot help but say your husband is a lucky man to have such a resolute wife.
An awkward moment. She's not used to this kind of flattery.
I'll let him know.
Interior Cessna, 180 minutes later. Propeller spinning, Jerry taps the family picture. Increases the RPM, releases the brake, taxis away. Exterior Casablanca Airport runway minutes later. In the early dawn light, the Cessna 180 lifts into the air. Interior Casablanca Airport office continuous. Henri gives an officer Jerry's flight plan and telegram.
Please send both of these.
The officer nods. Henri leaves. The officer puts both on a huge stack of paper. Interior Piper Apache flying day. An exhausted Joan peers ahead. Visible in the early morning haze, a thin line of lights twinkle on the horizon. Finally.
Dakar Control, 325 India Papa, request clearance to land.
325 India Papa, clear to land, runway 16.
Exterior Senegal, Dakar Airport, terminal, minutes later. The crowd surges around Joan as she exits her Piper Apache. A Dakar official pushes through to greet her.
Welcome to Dakar, Miss Smith.
The crowd surges, trying to get a view of Joan. Several women try to touch her. Is she real?
Please get back. I'm sorry, but they have never seen a woman who pilots a plane.
One young boy sneaks to the fuselage, signs it with a crayon.
No, get away from there.
No, that's all right. In fact, that's a wonderful idea.
She holds up her pen to the crowd and makes a signing motion.
Please, everyone may sign my plane.
The crowd catches on. Many sign the Piper Apache with crayons, grease pencils, chalk, and pens. Interior Casablanca Airport office day. The officer stands, locks his desk, and leaves. Jerry's note and flight plan remain in the pile, forgotten. Exterior Algeria, Bonn Airport terminal day. Super, Bonn, Algeria. A lone ground crewman guides Jerry Cessna to a stop. She cuts her engine, exits. No crowd this time.
Excuse me, where is customs?
The ground crewman shrugs. No English. Now what? She head for what looks like the entrance. Interior Algeria, Bonn Airport Customs Office later. Jerry speaks to a bored Algerian customs officer.
But they filed my revised flight plan in Casablanca.
We have no record of your plan.
May I call my husband?
You must finish the paperwork first.
She glances down at the thick stack of forms. Interior Ohio, Bexley Mock House living room, day. Roger, Gary, and Mrs. Mock play Monopoly. Phone receiver to his ear. Russ paces near the kitchen door. Despite the game, the others listen to his every word.
She should have arrived several hours ago. No, in a Cessna. It's hard to miss a lady in a Cessna. Listen to me. I'm her husband.
He pulls the phone away from his ear.
Cut off again.
He slams down the phone. His concerned family stares at him, waiting for words of comfort. Not his forte, but he tries.
Don't worry, gang. We'll find her.
Interior Ohio, Columbus Ledger office, continuous. William sharpens a pencil at his desk. Evans joins him.
Have they found Jerrie?
Nope.
Evans stares at the map for a few seconds.
Reporting from your desk isn't working. Book yourself on the first flight out and get to Tripoli. If she turns up safe, I want you to follow her the rest of her flight.
Williams is too shocked to reply. Interior Ohio, Rickenbacker Air Force Base, Command Center day. At the world map, the major briefs sharp.
She left Casablanca at 0700 this morning. Her flight plan was filed for Tripoli, but she hasn't arrived.
If she goes down to these mountains, we could end up with another Lady Be Good.
That World War II bomber.
Yes. Tell Wheels to get planes in the air.
Officers grab phones, dial, typewriters spring into action. Interior 707 flying, night. Nervous Williams tries to get comfortable as occasional turbulence bounces the plane. Gives up, signals a flight attendant. She arrives.
Double scotch and water.
Interior Ohio, Bexley, Mock House bedroom, night. Gary and Roger lie in their respective beds.
Do you think Mom crashed?
Don't talk like that.
Wait, what do you think happened to her?
Maybe she had to land at some tiny airport with no phone.
Or the middle of the desert?
She has water and food, plus an emergency radio. She'll be okay.
Gary stares at the ceiling, not so sure.
I wish he'd never done this.
Interior Algeria, Bond Hotel, night. 4 a.m. Jerrie speaks on the phone, urgency in her voice.
No, operator, Bexley, Ohio, in the United States. États-Unis. Please, let me know when you get a line.
She hangs up, leans back. Tired of all the pressure, she closes her weary eyes. Can this get any worse? Begin dream sequence. Exterior sky, Cessna flying, day. A storm rages. Wind and rain lash the Cessna. Interior Cessna 180 flying, continuous. Jerrie fights to maintain control of the bucking Bronco. Lightning outside illuminates her taut expression. She checks the altimeter. 8,000 feet and descending, fast.
Tripoli Control, 138 Charlie, do you read?
Exterior sky, Cessna flying, continuous. As the Cessna's right elevator, the wind bends and warps the metal, the whole plane shakes. Another gust slams the Cessna, and the right elevator snaps away from the fuselage. Interior Cessna 180 flying, continuous. Fear consumes Jerrie's face as the Cessna nosedives. The altimeter spins 6,000 feet, 5,000, 4,000. Jerrie pulls back on the yoke. No response. The dark ground rushes towards her.
Tripoli Control, Mayday, Mayday!
The Cessna rotates into a spin. Items, including the family picture, breaks loose and pummel Jerrie. A phone rings.
Russ? Russ?
Ring, ring. End dream sequence. Interior Algeria, Bond Hotel, continuous. The phone rings. Jerrie awakes with a huge gasp. Super March 30th, 1964. She sits up. Perspiration rolls down her face. She checks her watch. 6 o'clock. Another ring. She grabs the phone.
Russ!
Bonjour, Miss Mock. This is your wake-up call?
Her face sags. What a letdown.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Merci.
She hangs up, frustrated. She throws back the covers and gets up. At the sink, she splashes water on her face. Looks in the mirror. The last few days have definitely taken their toll. Interior Senegal, Dakar, Hotel, Restaurant, day. Joan eats breakfast. A bellman arrives.
Miss Smith, you have a call?
Interior Senegal, Dakar, Hotel, front desk, seconds later. Joan picks up the phone.
Jack?
You really had me worried.
Interior California, Long Beach, Smith House, kitchen, same. Jack speaks on the phone.
Brazil's in complete chaos.
Intercut between Joan and Jack.
Thankfully, it's 1,600 miles behind me now.
I don't know if you heard about Jerrie Mock. She's missing.
What happened?
She left Casablanca and hasn't been heard from since. Please be careful. There's a reason no one successfully completed this flight.
That's why an amateur like her should never have tried.
Interior Algeria, Bonn Airport, Customs Office, day. Jerrie hands her flight plan to the Algerian customs officer.
You may go.
She gives him a note.
Can you send this telegram to my husband? The address is on here.
You must go to the telegraph office.
Where is it?
In the city.
Never mind.
Interior Libya, Tripoli Airport Terminal Day. Williams, bag in hand, pushes through a swarm of passengers. He finds the operations office and enters. Interior Libya, Tripoli Airport Operations Continuous. Williams enters the room filled with too many bureaucrats and not enough work. Most converse in loud, animated voices. A Libyan official intercepts Williams.
No, you cannot be in here.
Williams fumbles for his press pass. He finds it, shows it.
Ernie Williams, Columbus Ledger. I'm looking for the lady.
Go. There are no ladies here.
Hold on, Chief. Her name is Jerrie Mock. She was due in from Casablanca yesterday or the day before, but you can't miss her. She's flying assassin.
She did not arrive. Out.
Interior Ohio, Bexley, Mock House Kitchen, continuous. Russ in a bathrobe paces, coffee in hand, checks the clock. 5 a.m. Russ rubs his tired face. Another sleepless night. He picks up the phone, decides against it, hangs up, walks to the map, and stares, wondering where Jerrie could be. Interior Cessna 180 flying day. Jerrie prepares for her approach.
Tripoli Control 138 Charlie. Do you read?
Static, then an answer.
138 Charlie, Tripoli Control.
Interior, Libya, Tripoli, Airport Terminal minutes later. Williams waits on a bench outside the operations office. The Libyan official exits the office, sees him.
Your lady friend is landing.
Williams joins the official. They stride to the exit.
She's not my lady friend. I'm a reporter covering her story.
Exterior, Libya, Tripoli, Airport Terminal minutes later. Jerrie parks her Cessna near the Libyan official, Williams and others. She exits and joins the men.
What happened, Miss Mock? We were expecting you yesterday.
Apparently a missing flight plan. Why are you here?
I drew the short straw.
Interior, Libya, Tripoli, Airport Terminal minutes later. Inside a phone booth, Jerrie speaks on an ancient phone. Aboard, Williams waits nearby.
Russ?
Interior Ohio, Bexley, Mock House Kitchen, continuous. Roger, Valerie, Mrs. Mock, and Gary listen while Russ speaks on the phone.
Thank God you're safe. I haven't slept for 2 days.
Intercut Russ and Jerrie.
I'm sorry, but I've learned communications aren't very reliable in this part of the world.
Russ closes his eyes, relieved, then back to business.
Okay, good. We're back in the game. So get some rest tonight and then get going. Joan's in Senegal.
Relax, Russ. I'm leaving tomorrow. Tell the kids I love them.
I will. And I love you.
Thank you. I needed that.
Interior Ohio, Rickenbacker, Air Force Base, Command Center, day. Sharp enters. The Major joins him.
She made it.
Interior Libya, Tripoli, hotel, restaurant, night. Surrounded by patrons at other tables, Jerrie dines alone. Williams ambles in, sees her. She sees him, waves him over. He ambles to her table, plops into a chair across from her.
I'm not sure what I'm eating, but it tastes delicious.
I'll stick with what I know.
William grabs an empty coffee cup and holds it up. A waiter nods at him, disappears into the kitchen. A few moments of awkward silence.
I gotta admit, Mrs. Mock, I didn't think you'd ever get this far.
Taking Pan Am home has crossed my mind a few times, but I'd have to leave Charlie behind.
William checks out of the room. Jerrie tries small talk.
How was your flight here?
1 rubber chicken dinner, 2 bad movies, and 6 scotch and water's too long.
More awkward seconds pass.
You don't like what I'm doing, do you, Mr. Williams?
The waiter brings his coffee. Williams ignores it, stands, puts a few dollars on the table.
I don't know what kind of funny money they use here, but this ought to cover me. Good night.
He departs. Interior Libya, Tripoli, Airport Operations Day. Super, April 1st, 1964. Jerrie reviews a weather chart with a Libyan forecaster.
The shift in winds means dust storms are possible along your route. If you see one approach, climb above 10,000 feet. They rarely reach that high.
Interior Cessna 180 flying later that day. Jerrie looks at the ominous brown cloud on the horizon. Checks the altimeter, 10,000 feet.
Benghazi Control 138 Charlie, request clearance to flight level 150.
Anxious seconds pass. Finally,
138 Charlie, Benghazi Control, cleared for flight level 150.
she increases throttle, moves the mixture towards rich, pulls back on the yoke. The altimeter indicates climb. A few minutes later, Visible ahead through the windshield, a large brown dust cloud approaches, well above her altitude of 11,000 feet. Jerrie puts on her oxygen mask, turns on the flow. She pulls back the yoke, gooses the throttle. Exterior sky Cessna 180 flying continuous. As the brown swirling dust approaches, the Cessna 180 continues its desperate climb. Interior Cessna 180 flying minutes later. Jerrie checks her altimeter. It moves past 14,000 feet. The brown cloud ahead towers above her. No way out.
Hold on, Charlie.
The brown cloud hits very fine dust, not sand, blasts the windshield. She instinctively flinches. Exterior sky Piper Apache flying continuous. The Piper Apache races through the clear blue sky. The desert below appears similar to the American Southwest. Interior Piper Apache flying continuous. Joan sips coffee from a thermos. She glances at a chart, checks a straight line flight path to Khartoum. She glances at her RDF. The needle remains steady on course 075. She smiles. Things are finally going her way. Exterior sky Cessna 180 flying minutes later. The Cessna exits the dust storm. The sky clears. The sunlight reveals scoring on the leading edges. Interior Cessna 180 flying continuous. Without warning, the engine stutters and misfires. Jerrie scans her instruments. Plenty of fuel. More stutters. She moves the mixture towards Rich. It slows the frequency, but does not stop the stutters. She checks her position. 140 miles to Cairo. She looks at the desert below. Foreboding, she pats the instrument panel.
Hang in there, Charlie.
Exterior Niger Niamey Airport Terminal, day. In the searing heat at a lonely airport terminal surrounded by a parched, dusty landscape, two men finish fueling Joan's Piper Apache. She offers them pens, motions for them to sign her fuselage. They exchange perplexed looks, then sign. Interior Cessna 180 flying, day. Jerrie checks her chart. Cairo should be close. Sees infrastructure in the distance, obscured by a thick haze.
Cairo, approach control, 138 Charlie. I believe I have you in sight. Request landing instructions.
138 Charlie, Cairo approach control. Continue direct approach to runway 5.
Cairo, approach control, 138 Charlie. On direct approach for runway 15.
Exterior Egypt Airport continuous. Jerrie guides her Cessna to a perfect landing on runway 5. Interior Cessna 180 taxiing seconds later. Jerrie turns her Cessna from the runway to a taxiway. No commercial jets in sight, only military-type buildings, some under construction. From her left, a convoy of 8 military jeeps filled with armed troops approach at high speed. Interior Egypt Airport taxiway continuous. The Cessna stops. The jeeps screech to a halt in front of it. An Egyptian colonel exits from one. Jerrie steps out of the Cessna with an air chart and perplexed expression.
Is this Cairo International?
No, madam, it is not.
Jerrie offers her chart.
I just spoke to the tower. They told me to land on runway 5. I know I landed on runway 5.
You did, but the wrong runway 5.
The colonel nods at two officers. They search the Cessna. Interior Egypt Airport headquarters room later. Seated at table, nervous Jerrie struggles to remain calm. Across from her, the Egyptian colonel reviews her chart. The two officers who search the Cessna enter. One places the U.S. Air Force Base information folder on her table. The other places Jerrie's camera and air charts next to it. The officer whispers something to the colonel. He opens the Air Force contact folder, skims the contact information.
Are you CIA?
No,
Did you take pictures of us from the air?
Of course not. General,
Colonel.
Colonel, you may have heard about me. I'm Jerrie Mock from Bexley, Ohio, near Columbus. I'm flying around the world.
The colonel retains his stern expression.
Am I under arrest?
Interior Ohio, Rickenbacker Air Force Base, Command Center continuous. The major confers with Sharp.
She was on approach to Cairo, then communications stopped, but no crashes have been reported.
Get the Egyptian Air Force Chief of Staff on my secure line.
Exterior Egypt Cairo Airport Terminal continuous. Williams cools his heels with officials, reporters, and a crowd waiting to greet Jerrie.
Women, never on time.
Exterior Egypt Airport taxiway day. 8 military jeeps filled with armed soldiers. Jerrie and the colonel arrive at a Cessna. The two sleeping guards awake. She and the colonel exit. He returns her folder, camera, and air charts.
Taxi to that runway, take off, and climb to 1,000 feet. Straight ahead will be Cairo. Go there. Tell no one you were here.
One of the guards opens the Cessna door. Jerrie enters. Interior Cessna 180 continuous. Jerrie closes the door, grabs the takeoff checklist, holds it in her shaking hands. She reads, but she can't seem to focus. Tap, tap, tap. Jerrie jerks back to the moment. Outside her door window, the colonel taps again.
Go. You must go right now.
I'm going, right now.
Her hands fly through the takeoff checklist. Exterior Egypt Cairo Airport Terminal later that day. Under a warm sun, reporters, Williams, an Egyptian official, and the waiting crowd watched Jerrie taxi her Cessna to her assigned spot, guided by the ground crewmen. She cuts her engine. The propeller stutters to a stop. The crowd and reporters engulf her Cessna. She exits into the sea of people. Reporters shout questions. She sees the Egyptian official push through the crowd with Williams in tow. They reach her.
You are 3 hours overdue, Miss Mock. What happened?
She remembers the colonel's warnings.
A dust storm and several missed approaches. Do you have any Cessna mechanics available?
We have several. I'll notify them you need their services.
Interior Egypt Cairo Airport Terminal minutes later. Jerrie strides towards an exit. Williams follows.
Once again, you got the whole world on high alert. What happened?
I'd rather not discuss it.
Mrs. Mock, my paper is sponsoring your flight, so our readers have a right to know.
Mr. Williams, I made a mistake. Will it make you and your readers feel better if you print that? If so, go right ahead.
She continues towards the exit. Williams lets her go. Interior Egypt Cairo Airport hangar later. Next to her Cessna, Jerrie discusses her carburetor with a Cessna mechanic who holds it. Williams waits at a safe distance.
It's clogged with dust, and I'll also need to drain your oil and replace the filter. It'll probably take most of the day.
Not happy with the news, she nods. The mechanic returns to his workbench.
Mrs. Mock?
He eases towards her.
Look, my job is to report on your flight. I didn't ask for this assignment, but here I am. If I got out of line, I apologize.
She makes him sweat it for a few seconds.
Very well. I accept your apology.
She heads for the exit. He follows.
Okay, you've got mechanical trouble, so you're stuck here for an extra day. What are you going to do?
Exterior Egypt desert later. At a camel ride attraction, several men in striped robes wait next to saddled camels. At one kneeling camel, a guide assists Jerrie onto a saddle. Once on, Jerrie holds on for dear life as the camel rises. Nearby, William snaps a picture of grinning Jerrie. Interior Ohio Bexley Mockhouse Kitchen day. At the table, Russ stares at a ledger front page photo of Jerrie on the camel.
She's supposed to be flying, not gallivanting around Egypt on a stupid camel.
Mrs. Mock pours Russ a cup of coffee.
Don't be so hard on Jerrie. She's just having a little fun.
She doesn't have time for fun. Joan's already across Africa.
Russ, I realize this has been difficult for you, watching Jerrie get all of the spotlight.
She points to the article.
But she mentions your help in this interview like she always does.
She gives Russ a few seconds to take in her words.
Jerrie has a right to find success, just like you do. Accept that and you'll be a lot happier.
Exterior Sudan, Khartoum Airport, hangar day. Coke in hand, Joan stands at a window. A sandstorm rages outside. She glances back at her Piper Apache, safely inside. A Sudanese official joins her.
We call this haboob. It can last for hours or days.
Joan watches her tenuous lead slip away in the blowing sand. Exterior, Saudi Arabia, Duran Airport runway day. Super April 3rd, 1964. As heat waves shimmer off the runway, the Cessna lands. Exterior, Saudi Arabia, Duran Airport terminal same. A group of men in traditional white robes and kafia wait at the entrance to the passenger arrival area. Among them stand a Saudi official with roses and two Americans, Mr. Jones, 35, and Mr. Elliott, 33. Williams waits nearby, camera aimed and ready. Guided by a ground crewman, Jerrie parks her Cessna, cuts her engines, exits. Discussions erupt among the Saudi men. The Saudi official, Jones and Elliott join her. Williams takes a few pictures. Jones notices.
On behalf of His Majesty Faisal bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, I welcome you to Saudi Arabia.
He presents the roses, their delicate colors in stark contrast to the harsh surrounding desert.
Thank you. These are beautiful. They remind me of home.
Which I'm sure you miss.
Very much.
William snaps more pictures. Jones looks at Elliot, gives a head towards Williams. Williams nods his acknowledgement. Several skeptical Saudi men open the Cessna's door, check inside. They shout in Arabic to the other men.
What are they doing?
They are looking for a male pilot.
Why?
They do not believe a woman is capable of piloting a plane.
Jerry waves at the men.
Well, now they know a woman can.
Jones steps in to cut this off before it goes south.
Mrs. Mock, I'm Mr. Jones, and this is Mr. Elliot.
We'll clear you through customs, and then bring you to your hotel.
I wish you every success in your flight, Mrs. Mock. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
William snaps several more pictures of the group. Jones nods at Elliot, his signal to take action.
Ready?
I'll need my suitcase.
We'll take care of that for you.
His expression convinces her not to argue. He leads her towards the entrance. Williams follows. Elliot blocks him.
I'll need that film.
Williams whips out his press credentials.
Ernie Williams, Columbus Ledger. I'm covering Mrs. Mock.
Elliot discreetly flashes his ID at Williams.
My ID trumps yours.
It sure does. William removes the film from his camera.
Does this have to do with her disappearance?
Elliot pulls the film out from its canister, exposing it.
Your flight to Karachi leaves at 0700. Make sure you're on it.
Elliot leaves a baffled Williams behind. Exterior Darnham Airport terminal minutes later. Taxis and cars which by the front of the building. Jones opens a parked black sedan passenger door for Jerry. She enters. Jones and Elliot follow. The sedan's driver pulls away from the curb into traffic. Interior sedan driving continuous. The sedan maneuvers through chaotic traffic.
I understand you took a little detour in Egypt.
How did you know that?
Tell us what happened.
His tone convinces her to answer.
It was very hazy, so I had a difficult time finding landmarks. I thought I was lined up for runway 5 at Cairo International, but when I landed, it wasn't Cairo.
Was it a military base?
All I saw were soldiers.
Jones and Elliot exchange looks.
Am I in trouble?
No, Miss Mock, but we think you may have landed at an Egyptian Air Force base being built by the Soviet Union. Did you happen to take any pictures?
No.
We'll need to check your film.
The film's in my camera bag.
We'll return any personal pictures, and before you leave tomorrow, I'll need a written report about what you saw. Give me as much details as you can remember. In the meantime, we'll take you to your hotel so you can get ready.
Ready for what?
Exterior sky, Piper Apache flying day. The Piper Apache cruises through a clear blue sky, below the lush uplands of Eritrea. Interior Piper Apache flying continuous. While on autopilot, Joan checks her chart, finds her position, traces a path to Aden, measures the distance, uses her whiz wheel to calculate their time of arrival, 1700. She sets the chart aside, opens her thermos, sips, just another day in the office. Exterior Ohio, Bexley Mock House, day. Russ loads a small suitcase into Mrs. Mock's sedan. Roger, Gary, and Valerie watch with concerned expressions. Mrs. Mock joins the kids.
Don't worry, I'll be back in time to make Sunday dinner.
The kids look at her. You'd better, Russ notices.
We'll be fine. Say hello to Aunt Beth for us.
Minutes later, Russ, Gary, Roger, and Valerie watch Mrs. Mock drive away.
Okay, gang? We've got the whole weekend. What do you want to do first?
Lunch.
Exterior Ohio, Columbus, McDonald's restaurant, day. At a picnic table, Russ, Roger, Gary, and Valerie watch Russ arrive with burgers, fries, and shakes.
All right, gang, who ordered the strawberry shake?
The kids trade looks. Not us. Too bad. He hates strawberry. Drops a strawberry into the trash before he sits. Looks at the fast food on the table.
I'll bet your mother would pay $10 to have one of these all-American burgers right now.
Everything looks so delicious.
Exterior Saudi Arabia, American Consulate, patio continuous. Dozens of elegant guests, including Jones and Elliot, converse while they fill plates from a long buffet table laden with gourmet American food. Jerry speaks for the ambassador and his wife while she stares at the food.
I don't know where to begin.
We figured you'd like a little taste of America after 2 weeks away from home.
Mrs. Mock, I greatly admire what you're doing. I've been following you ever since you left Columbus.
Apparently, you aren't the only one who has been following me.
The wife doesn't catch the inference.
That's because you're a pioneer at a time when we have so few of them.
Exterior Saudi Arabia, Durham Airport Terminal Day. Super April 4th, 1964. At the Cessna, Jerrie gives Jones her report.
It's everything I could remember.
He takes it and skins, nods his approval.
You have a good eye for detail. Must be all those engineering courses you took at Ohio State.
He places the report into a briefcase, locks it,
God bless America, Miss Mock.
and with that he departs, as if he'd never existed. Exterior Yemen, Port Aden Airport Terminal Day. At the aircraft arrival area, Joan parks her Piper Apache under the direction of a lone ground crewman. No crowd waits. Carl Becker from the American consulate jogs over to meet her. Joan shuts down her engines, exits, meets Becker.
Mrs. Smith, Carl Becker from the consulate.
They shake hands. He's obviously in a hurry.
I'll get you through customs.
Exterior Yemen, Port Aden Airport Terminal an hour later. At the front of the terminal, Joan, overnight bag in hand, exits with Mr. Becker into a different world. Rough men in turbans and sandals with bullets and rifles slung over their shoulders meander among the throngs of pedestrians and soldiers, the Wild West, Middle East style. Old cars and trucks pick up or disgorge passengers. Becker leads Joan to the only decent taxi in line of a dilapidated one.
In the past few days, the situation in Yemen has become, let's just say, fluid.
Becker leans into the window and speaks to the driver.
Take Mrs. Smith directly to the International Hotel. Pick her up in the morning at 5 and bring her directly back here.
He hands the taxi driver a large wad of American cash.
You'll get the other half tomorrow.
Becker opens the rear door.
Don't leave the hotel. It's guarded, so it's safe. In fact, the airline crews still use it. The bar and the food aren't too bad.
Lately, I seem to be showing up at the wrong place at the wrong time.
You and me both.
Becker gives her his card.
Call me if you need anything.
She enters the taxi and pulls away into traffic. Interior taxi driving continuous. The taxi driver speaks with Joan.
This is your first visit to Yemen?
What a stupid question, but she answers.
It is.
Much different from America, yes?
Much.
My visa has just been approved, so next month I'll visit my uncle in Buffalo. He tells me there are cowboys on TV and lots of rock and rolling chicks. Is that true?
She looks out the window. This is going to be a long ride. Interior India, New Delhi, Kallam Airport Terminal Day. Mr. Kapoor, 51, an Indian commercial airline pilot, and his wife, Bharati, greet Jerrie as a swirl of people pass, many of the women dressed in colorful saris.
On behalf of the New Delhi Aero Club, welcome to India, Mrs. Mock. My wife Badari and I hope you will be able to join us for dinner this evening.
That sounds wonderful.
Together they walk down the passageway. They pass a large room where dozens of people, untouchables, wait behind glass windows. Ragged clothes, dour expressions. They look forlorn.
Who are those people?
They are not allowed in the terminal building.
He doesn't offer more. Jerrie doesn't ask. Exterior Yemen, Port Aden International Hotel, bar night. Joan enters the bar crowded with flight crews from many international airlines, including stewardesses and pilots. She finds an open spot at the bar near 3 Pan Am stewardesses, mid-20s, all in uniform.
Coca-Cola, please.
One of the stewardesses recognizes her.
Hey, I've seen you in the paper. You're racing that other lady around the world.
Joan nods.
At least there's one pilot in this bar who won't be pinching our butts.
The stewardesses laugh.
You sure picked a doozy of a place to stop.
I'm sure it wasn't like this when Amelia Earhart came through.
I know you've answered this question a million times, but I've got to ask, why'd you become a pilot?
To overcome my fear of flying.
This gets the stewardess's attention. Begin flashback. Exterior Massachusetts Boston Airport Terminal, 1952 day. Joan, 15, walks with her mother to an airliner boarding ramp.
When I was 15, my mother sent me to Miami to visit my aunt for the summer.
Interior airliner flying day. A terrified Joan sits next to the window while turbulence bounces the plane.
I hated every minute of that flight.
Exterior Florida Miami Airport Terminal day. Joan's aunt greets Joan after she descends the boarding stairs.
But what I realized after we landed was I hated not being in control of that airplane.
Exterior Florida Miami Airport hangar day. Joan washes a Piper cup.
So I found a job at the airport, cleaning airplanes in exchange for flying lessons.
Interior Piper Cub flying, day. Joan pilots the aircraft alone.
I soloed after only 9 hours of instruction. Each day I couldn't wait to get back in the sky.
Interior Florida Miami Airport hangar, day. An FAA examiner presents a private pilot's license to Joan.
The FAA had to give special permission to me to receive my private pilot's license at 16.
Interior Florida Miami house bedroom, night. Joan reads Last Flight by Amelia Earhart.
For earning my license, my aunt gave me a copy of Amelia Earhart's book, Last Flight.
End flashback. Joan speaks to the stewardesses.
After I finished that book, I decided I would finish what Amelia Earhart started. But what's the point of being a pilot? You can't fly for Pan Am or TWA or any airline. You're right, I can't. But maybe our daughters will.
Interior India, New Delhi, Kapoor House, dining room, night. At a dining table, Jerrie, Kapoor, Badari, and guests pass around platters of different Indian dishes.
I understand you're more than halfway home now.
Thankfully. My next big challenge will be crossing the Pacific.
Without thinking, Kapoor blurts out.
This is where Amelia Earhart disappeared.
He catches his guffaw.
Oh, but you, of course, have much better navigation equipment.
Later, Jerrie, Kapoor, and Badari converse as they dine.
This is delicious.
That is Murg Mahal, buttered chicken.
No one prepares Murg Mahal better than Badari. My mother was right. Badari was a wonderful cook.
A moment of silence before Badari springs her big question.
Mrs. Mock, I hope you don't mind me asking, but I am curious. How does your husband feel about your flight? In India, no wife would dare attempt something as bold as flying around the world alone.
Or even with her husband.
Everyone chuckles at this joke.
It was actually my husband who came up with the idea for my flight.
How did you meet such a man?
Begin flashback. Interior Ohio State University classroom, circa 1946, day. A professor hands out graded exams to 20 male students, including Russ, 20, and to Jerrie, the only woman.
We were students at Ohio State University and shared the same chemistry class.
Gentlemen, you will be embarrassed to learn Miss Fredericks earned the only perfect score on my exam.
The men, except Russ, stare at her with a mix of envy and contempt. Russ sees a kindred competitive spirit. Interior Ohio State University hallway, minutes later. Jerrie exits the class, followed by Russ.
Jerrie?
She stops. He offers his hand.
Russ Mock.
They shake.
Perfect score. That's pretty impressive.
It doesn't come easy for me. I really have to work at it.
I'll work at it too. It looks like you get better results. Maybe if I could study with you?
Interior Ohio State University library, night. Jerrie studies calculus. Russ studies her.
Russ is a natural salesman, very persuasive. He was hard to resist.
Interior Ohio Columbus apartment, 1949, day. Jerrie feeds 3-month-old Roger a bottle. Russ enters, briefcase in hand.
After 2 years, we were married. Our son Roger was born a year later. Russ began his advertising career.
Russ kisses Jerrie.
And I became the dutiful housewife.
What's for dinner?
End flashback.
I took flying lessons in college and managed to keep flying after we were married. 2 years ago, I was looking for a new challenge and discovered women's air racing.
And now here you are in India, having a grand time. I hope your husband is not too jealous.
Interior Ohio Bexley Mock House basement, day. At Jerrie's desk, Russ goes through a stack of bills for Jerrie's flight. He adds the totals on a mechanical adding machine. $18,437.57. Way over budget. Next, he plows through a stack of endorsement offers from Continental Engines, Goodyear, Cessna, Champion spark plugs, all contingent on Jerrie beating Joan.
Russ,
Mrs. Mock enters with a cup of coffee. She gives it to Russ.
you've been down here for hours.
Jerry's expenses are killing us.
Exterior Ohio Columbus Bank, day. Russ stops at the entrance, not sure he wants to enter. He takes a deep breath, and then pushes through the revolving doors. Interior Ohio Bexley Bank office, minutes later. The loan officer speaks with Russ.
Mr. Mock, you're 2 months delinquent. I can't extend any more credit to you.
Russ offers the loan officer the endorsement letters.
I've got more collateral.
The loan officer examines the letters.
I'm sorry, but these will be worthless if Joan finishes first.
Exterior Thailand Bangkok Airport Terminal, day. Super, April 9th, 1964. In the wilting heat, Jerrie exits the Cessna. She faces yet another gauntlet of spectators and reporters. Flashbulbs flash, reporters lob the usual stupid questions. She offers her usual smile and wave, then scoots past the reporters and into the terminal. Exterior, Pakistan, Karachi Airport Terminal Day. Super, Karachi, Pakistan. Surrounded by a crowd of curious spectators, Michelle Thompson, 24, Joan's close friend, greets Joan with a heartfelt hug.
Darling, after 12,000 miles, you look wonderful.
Michelle's husband, Bill, 27, joins them.
I'm Bill.
I'm so glad to finally meet you.
And in Pakistan, of all places. Bill asked for any country in Europe, and this is where we end up, the challenges of foreign service.
I understand you two were inseparable in high school.
Michelle was the only one that thought I wasn't completely off my rocker for wanting to fly.
She got her pilot's license before her driver's license.
And look where you are today. Congratulations.
Thanks. I can't imagine doing anything else.
The three head for the terminal entrance. Interior Thailand, Bangkok hotel room night. In the crummy room, a wall-mounted air conditioner chugs while Jerrie sleeps. The phone rings. She stirs. Ring, ring. She checks her watch. 2 o'clock. She answers.
Hello?
Interior Ohio, Bexley, Mock's house basement, continuous. At Jerry's desk, Russ, bills and endorsement offers piled in front of him, speaks into the phone.
It's me.
Who else at this hour? Intercut between Jerrie and Russ.
What's wrong?
We're drowning in your expenses.
I'm pinching pennies as best I can. You should see where I'm staying.
It's not enough. I've decided not to meet you in Hawaii.
This catches Jerrie by surprise.
Russ, I've flown around the world, but I've seen most of it from 8,000 feet. I was hoping to spend a couple of days on the ground with you.
With Joan nipping at your heels, we can't afford any delays. You need to take the most direct route home.
So much for our honeymoon.
He picks up the endorsement letters.
Listen, you've got at least 20 endorsement offers waiting. But they're only good if you beat Joan.
So this is what my trip has come down to. Endorsement deals.
Jerrie, there's a practical side to everything.
Sometimes I wonder why I ever let you talk me into this flight.
You can't give up now.
She doesn't like his tone.
What does that mean?
It takes a moment for Russ to fess up.
It means I took out a second mortgage on the house.
Why? I thought we had sponsors.
Their payments didn't come close to covering your expenses.
Silence until Jerrie finally ends it.
Very well. From now on, I'll be practical. I'll leave first thing in the morning. I'll only stop for fuel, food, and some sleep until I get back to Columbus. Good night.
She hangs up. Interior Thailand, Bangkok Airport Terminal Day. Super, April 8th, 1964. At this early hour, Jerrie passes very few passengers as she heads for the Pan Am counter. Minutes later. At the Pan Am counter, Jerrie finds Williams.
Change your flight to Manila.
A cheery good morning to you, too. What's got your knickers in a twist this morning?
Her expression warns Williams not to press any further. He picks up his suitcase.
Okay, Manila it is.
She departs. He wonders what the heck just happened. Interior Ohio, Rickenbacker Airport Base Command Center, Day. The Major briefs sharp.
This morning she refiled her flight plan directly to Manila. Once she leaves the Philippines, the only thing between her and America is the Pacific Ocean.
I want her tracked every inch of the way. If she has to ditch, I want her picked up before her feet get wet. The same goes for that Smith gal.
I'll notify Pacific Command, sir.
Sharp exits. Interior India Calcutta Airport Office Day. Joan speaks with an Indian official.
I regret to inform you, Burma has denied your request to fly through their airspace.
Exasperation fills Joan's face. She's tired of these complications, but she has no choice.
Then I'll refile my flight plan and fly around their coast.
Interior Piper Apache flying hours later. Joan checks her chart. Her position, just off the coast of Burma, near Lamang. She traces a straight line across Burma to Bangkok. This should cut miles and hours from her flight.
To heck with them.
She drives the Piper Apache. The altimeter unwinds 6,000 feet, 5,000 feet, 4,000 feet. At 500 feet, she levels off, turns for the coast. Exterior sky, Piper Apache flying minutes later. The Piper Apache zooms 500 feet over a dense jungle canopy. Exterior sky, Cessna 180 flying continuous. Jerrie's Cessna flies 8,000 feet above the deep blue Pacific. Interior Cessna 180 flying continuous. Jerrie checks her wing tank's fuel gauges, nearly empty. She opens the fuel transfer valve, turns on the transfer pump. It whirs while it moves fuel from the cabin tank to the wing tank. So far, so good. Minutes later, the gauge in the cabin tanks move towards empty as the wing tank gauge moves towards full. Almost time for the big moment. Jerrie waits, hand on the transfer pump switch. The cabin tank gauge hits empty. Jerrie shuts off the transfer pump, tries to shut the fuel transfer valve, but it sticks. The engine coughs and sputters. The nose drops. No restart.
No.
She fights with the valve handle, gives it everything she's got. Finally, she turns it to the closed position. No restart. She waits a few more precious seconds. Nothing but silence and decreasing altitude. Her hands fly through the restart procedures. She hits the start button, a silent prayer, a sputter in response. She tries again. After a few tense seconds, the engine coughs to life, resumes a steady rhythm. Yes, there is a God. Exterior, Philippines, Manila Airport Terminal Day. As the sun sets, Jerrie taxis her Cessna towards a large crowd of cheering spectators, reporters and photographers. Williams and several Philippine officials, including Miss DeLeon, stand within them. She cuts her engine, exits her plane, exhausted. The crowd surges. Reporters yell questions. Cameras flash. Enough. She tunes them out, responds with silent smiles until Williams, Liam, and the officials reach her.
Welcome to Manila, Miss Mock. I am Mr. Liam, here on behalf of our governor. We are very honored to have you in our country.
Thank you.
Tomorrow we have a tour of our city planned for you, followed by a reception and dinner with the governor tomorrow night.
That sounds wonderful, but I depart for Guam early tomorrow morning.
Surprised by this snub, Mr. Liam trades looks with the other officials. What now?
The governor will be very disappointed.
I am too. I hope he'll understand.
As you wish, Miss Mock.
Mr. Liam and the other offended officials depart. Interior Philippines Manila Hotel Restaurant Night. Jerrie dines alone, surrounded by chatting patrons who pay her no attention. Williams enters, ambles to her table.
Mind if I take a load off?
She nods, he sits, motions to a waiter. The waiter arrives.
Scotch and water.
The waiter nods, then departs.
The world traveler gives up rubbing elbows with the highfalutin people to dine alone. Seems like a shame.
Believe me, I didn't want this to be a race. I was looking forward to taking my time, seeing the sights.
She stops, too frustrated to continue.
Then Joan fouled up your plans.
She's not the only one.
Jerrie catches herself, but Williams knows.
Uh-huh.
The waiter brings the scotch. Williams takes it, holds it up.
Cheers.
He sips.
You'd better not be taking notes.
My pen has retired for the evening.
Well, if Russ hadn't been so concerned about publicity, I would have been able to take my time. But the news tipped off Joan and gave her time to prepare.
Well, sometimes a little pressure gets us moving in the right direction.
He sips.
Look at me. A month ago I was covering bicycle thefts. But after this, a Pulitzer for sure.
His joke falls flat.
I'm just ready to get home and be done with this.
He sips the scotch to fill the few seconds of awkward silence. Then another side of him emerges.
You asked me once if I didn't like what you're doing. I gotta admit, I thought you were just an arrogant brought out to prove you were better than us men. But I was wrong. You're a pilot, doing what pilots do, flying farther, faster, or higher than any other guy or gal. As for me, I'm not sure I'd want some dame flying one of those supersonic jets, but this new generation, they see things differently. Maybe they'll be okay with ladies going faster than the speed of sound. And your flight might be one thing that helps convince them. But that's off the record.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I think.
He finishes his drink.
Tomorrow, I'm going back to Columbus.
You've had enough?
I've got most of my story, Mrs. Mock. I just need an ending. But I've got to admit, if I never set foot in an airliner again, it won't be too soon. If God had meant for us to fly...
I know. He'd given us wings.
He stands, time to quit while he's ahead.
Remember, I've got exclusive rights. So when you get to Columbus, keep your pie hole shut until you talk to me first.
He reaches for his wallet.
It's on me, Mr. Williams.
He heads for the exit, stops.
Thanks.
Jerrie watches him exit. Maybe he's not so bad after all. Exterior Australia, Darwin Airport Hangar Day. Super April 12, 1964. Her starboard engine. Joan speaks with a mechanic.
Should take about a day to replace these plugs and test her.
Full day?
You don't want this old girl dunking you in the Pacific, do you?
Interior Australia, Darwin Airport Terminal minutes later. On a payphone, a worried Joan speaks with Jack.
Starboard engine started misfiring over the Timor Sea, so I'm stuck here for another day while I replace the plugs.
Interior California, Long Beach, Smith House, Dan Continuous. Jack speaks with Joan.
You can still make up the time. Jerry will leave Wicht tomorrow, but you'll be right on her tail.
Intercut between Joan and Jack.
I'm so fed up with depending on other people to make things happen.
Joan, don't lose your focus. Enjoy a good dinner, get some sleep, go to the next airfield.
How can I relax while she keeps gaining on me?
Exterior Wake Island Airport Terminal day. An exhausted Jerry parks her Cessna near the entrance. No crowd this time, just a few government contract workers. She exits. Mr. Taylor, the airport manager, with a Pan Am logo on his shirt, steps out to greet her.
Welcome to Wake Island, Miss Mock.
Interior Wake Island FAA cottage later. Jerry, suitcase in hand, enters the one-room cottage with late 1940s decor, a room frozen in time. Taylor follows.
Planes rarely stop here anymore, so we don't use these rooms very often, but the sheets are fresh.
Jerry goes to a large open window that faces the Pacific. The sound of waves hitting the beach fills the room.
Is there a phone?
No, I'm afraid not.
Perfect.
What time do you want to wake up?
5.
I'll send out one of our contract guys and knock on your door.
Thank you.
There should be some cold drinks in the refrigerator, along with some fresh sandwiches.
He turns to leave, stops.
Just so you know, Joan will stay here when she arrives.
I'll be sure to leave her a compass on the pillow.
Good night, Miss Mock.
He departs. Jerry retrieves the Coke from the refrigerator, returns to the window, her private view of paradise. She closes her eyes. If only she could stay here for a month. 6 hours later, in the pitch-dark room, a knock at the door. Bed covers rustle. Jerry turns on the lights.
I'm up.
Interior Wake Island Cessna 180 later. Jerry starts her engine. It runs up to speed. She switches to the magneto from both to right. The RPM drops slightly. She switches to left. The engine skips a beat. Seconds later, it skips another beat, then another. Definitely not right. She cuts off the engine. Exterior Wake Island Airport Terminal minutes later. A Pan Am mechanic checks the magnetos for ground while Jerry and Mr. Taylor watch.
There might be an intermittent ground in your left magneto, but I can't pin it down. We can order a couple of new ones for you.
How long would that take?
5 days.
It takes a moment for that to sink in.
What are the chances of both magnetos failing simultaneously?
Slim, but
Mr. Taylor jumps in.
Miss Mock, you've still got 5,000 miles of Pacific to cross.
Precious seconds pass while Joan closes the gap. Finally, Jerry makes her decision.
Mr. Taylor, sometimes you just have to take a few risks.
She opens the Cessna door.
Give my regards to Joan.
Exterior sky Cessna flying day. Super. April 16th, 1964. The Cessna 180 cruises through the deep blue sky. Interior Cessna 180 flying continuous. Jerry gazes at the horizon ahead. The distant coastline of California spreads across the horizon. The engine stutters. She listens to it, steady drone. Another stutter. She moves the magneto switch to left mag. No change. Moves the switch to right mag. No change. She moves the switch back to both. The steady drone continues.
Oakland approach, 138 Charlie, request instructions for approach.
138 Charlie, Oakland approach. You are cleared for direct approach to runway 10 right. Welcome back to America.
Exterior California, Oakland Airport Terminal day. A huge crowd watches Jerry, under the direction of a ground crewman, taxi her Cessna to her assigned spot. She cuts her engine, exits. The crowd swarms. The Oakland mayor pushes through to her, shakes her hand. Cameras flash. Reporters take notes.
Congratulations, Miss Mock. To celebrate your return to America, the governor will be holding a reception in your honor tonight. He's also invited you to address our legislature tomorrow.
My goodness, that would be an honor, but I've got to depart for Columbus in the morning.
Disappointment fills the mayor's face.
You'll be missing an opportunity of a lifetime.
Believe me, this won't be the first opportunity of a lifetime I've missed.
Exterior Hawaii, Honolulu Airport Terminal day. A huge crowd cheers while Joan taxis her Piper Apache, the fuselage covered with hundreds of signatures, to her assigned spot. She stops, cuts her engines. Minutes later, The Honolulu mayor greets Joan. Several Hawaiians place leis around her neck.
Aloha, Miss Smith.
Thank you. Thank all of you for coming out to see me. I really appreciate it.
The crowd cheers while a Navy lieutenant commander and his wife push through them.
Joan! Joan!
They reach her.
I'm so glad you made it safely.
She hugs Joan.
You can call Jack the minute we get home. Afterwards, we have a big luau planned in your honor. Just don't keep me up late. I'm leaving early in the morning. Always in a hurry, never still. You haven't changed a bit.
Interior Ohio, Bexley Mock House kitchen night. Russ, phone at his ear, glances at the clock. 1 o'clock.
Yes, operator, I'm still here.
He glances at the wall map filled with Jerry's postcards. Interior California, Oakland Hotel ballroom night. A huge crowd swirls around Jerry, the center of attention at this reception. Governor Brown speaks with her.
Do you ever get scared while you're up there?
I've had a few anxious moments.
Young lady, you should run for office. Washington could use a tough gal like you to clean house.
Excuse me, ma'am.
A waiter arrives.
You've got a phone call.
Interior California, Oakland Hotel reception minutes later. A desk clerk gives Jerry the phone.
Hello?
It's me.
Yes, Russ.
Interior Ohio, Bexley Mock House kitchen continuous. While he speaks on the phone, Russ holds a piece of paper filled with numbers.
I've done some calculations. If you and Joan leave at the same time tomorrow, she wins. So I want you to change your flight plan and leave earlier.
Intercut between Jerry and Russ.
Russ, I'm not changing any more flight plans for you.
Uh,
I will see you and the kids tomorrow evening. Good night.
And that's that. She hangs up. Interior Ohio, Bexley Mock House kitchen continuous. Russ hangs up, stares at the paper for a few seconds, then balls it up and throws it away. He ambles over to the map, now filled with Jerry's postcards. He traces Jerry's path around the world, all the way to Hawaii. His finger stops. He grabs the phone. He dials 0, waits for an answer.
yes, operator. I need the number for Pan American Airlines.
Exterior California, Oakland Airport Terminal Night Super, April 17, 1964. Under the glare of airport lighting, watched by a lone ground crewman, Jerry conducts her pre-flight. Her hands run across the elevators, streaked with grime. She follows the fuselage up and around the wings, feels the many dints and dings, scars from bad runways and many hours in the air. Her hands move down the propeller, pitted from millions of RPMs while traveling nearly 20,000 miles. Minutes later, Jerry checks her watch, 4:45, time to go. She pats Charlie.
Let's go home, Charlie.
For the last time in her journey, she enters the cockpit. Interior Cessna 180 continuous. Jerry goes through the engine start procedures. Could do it in her sleep by now. Fuel selector, both. Avionics, power, off. Check circuit breakers, set, cowl flap, open.
Clear!
She continues, mixture rich, master switch on, throttle forward 1/2 inch. She primes the engine, brakes, set, magnetos both, starter switch start. The engine stutters to life. She taps her family's picture, then checks her Rogers ring in her pocket. Now she's ready. Exterior California, Oakland Airport Terminal continuous. Jerry turns the Cessna, heads for the runway. Exterior California, Oakland Airport runway minutes later. The Cessna 180 races past the yellow runway lights, then lifts into the air. It climbs, turns, and heads for home. Exterior Hawaii, Honolulu Airport Terminal night. At her Piper Apache, Joan checks her watch. 3 o'clock. She enters the cockpit, shuts the door. Interior Piper Apache continuous. Joan prepares for engine start. Like a maestro, her hands move along the switches, conducting her own private symphony.
Clear.
She starts the starboard engines. It roars to life. She starts the port engines. It roars to life. She releases the brakes, taxis towards the runway. Exterior Hawaii, Honolulu Airport runway minutes later. Joan's Piper Apache races down the runway. It lifts into the air, climbs, banks, and heads east. Exterior sky, Cessna 180 flying day. The Cessna sprints east towards the rising sun. Interior Cessna 180 flying continuous. Jerry checks her chart. Over Utah now. A stutter from the engine gets her attention. She pushes the mixture a little more towards Rich. Another stutter. She checks her magnetos. Switch to the left mag. The engine stutter. Almost quits. Switches to the right mag. No stutters. The steady drone continues. Just a bit slower. The moment of truth. She checks her chart for the nearest airfield, finds it, stares at it for a few seconds. Then she folds the chart and stows it, pats the instrument panel.
You'll just have to get us home on one, Magneto.
Interior, Ohio, Bexley Mock House Kitchen Day. Russ inspects Roger and Gary, both in suits.
I'll feel like a goof.
You need to look sharp. Your picture might be in 100 newspapers.
Valerie, uncomfortable in her dress, enters with Mrs. Mock. Russ looks over everyone one more time.
Very good. Okay, gang, let's go get your mother from the airport.
Interior, Ohio, Rickenbacker Air Force Base, Command Center, Day. Sharp enters. The Major briefs him.
She's over Kansas, apparently limping along on one Magneto. Smith's over the Pacific, right about here.
What's your prediction?
Too close to call, sir.
Exterior sky, Piper Apache flying, Day. Joan checks her chart. 200 miles to Oakland. She gives the throttle a slight push forward, anxious to get there. Exterior sky, Cessna 180 flying, Night. The Cessna 180, running lights illuminated, flies through a sky filled with 1,000,000 stars. Interior Cessna 180 flying, continuous. Illuminated by instrument lights, Jerrie checks her chart. Just ahead, Columbus, the end of the road. Time to check in.
Columbus Tower, 138 Charlie, request landing instructions.
Static, then a voice from home.
138 Charlie, Columbus Tower. We have cleared all traffic for you. Descend to 1,000 for direct approach to runway 10 left. Altimeter setting 2996. Winds north at 10. Welcome home, Jerrie Mock.
Interior Ohio, Columbus Airport Tower, continuous. William speaks with an air traffic controller.
She's about 5 minutes out.
When she lands, call Oakland Tower and confirm Joan Smith's landing time. You got that?
Yeah, sure.
I'll ring you from a payphone at the terminal.
William dashes out. Exterior Ohio, Columbus Airport hangar, Night. A huge crowd waits for Jerrie, including the Governor, Evans, Blanton, reporters, cameramen, and television reporters. A banner reads, "Welcome home, Jerrie Mock." Russ, Roger, Gary, Valerie, Mrs. Mock, and family friends wait on a stage complete with podium and microphones. The boys fidget with their ties, Valerie with her dress. Sharp, the Major, and other Air Force officers pace nearby. William stands at a payphone near the hangar entrance. Interior Cessna 180 flying, continuous. Jerrie sees lighted runway 10 left lined up in front of her. She continues her descent. 500 feet, 400 feet, 300, 200. Exterior Ohio, Columbus Airport runway, continuous. The Cessna 180 touches down in a perfect landing. Exterior Ohio, Columbus Airport hangar a few minutes later. The Cessna 180 taxis toward the hangar and the crowd. Interior Cessna 180 taxiing, continuous. Jerrie parks her Cessna, guided by a ground crewman. She cuts her engines, the propeller stutters to a stop. While the crowd searches towards her Cessna, the enormity of what she's accomplished hits her like a ton of bricks. She struggles to hold back tears, fights to keep her composure. She checks her face in her compact mirror. Not too bad after 15 straight hours and a month in the air. Exterior California, Oakland Airport Terminal, continuous. Joan guides her Piper Apache towards her assigned parking spot, guided by a Crown crewman. A huge crowd awaits her arrival, including Jack. They cheer as she approaches. Exterior Ohio, Columbus Airport hangar, continuous. Jerrie steps into the mass of people. She looks for her family. The yelling crowd blocks her view. Russ, Roger, Gary, Mrs. Mock, with Valerie in her arms, and family friends push through the melee, finally reach Jerrie. Jerrie grabs her family and hugs. Russ kisses her. They embrace. Cameras flash. Reporters shout questions. She ignores them.
Do we know who landed first?
Not yet.
He takes her hand, looks at her in the eye, contrite.
Listen, it's my fault your flight turned into such a fiasco. I can't change that, but maybe this will help.
Russ removes 2 plane tickets from his coat, shows them to her, both to Hawaii.
Stay as long as you want.
He embraces Jerrie. They kiss before he lets her go. He leads her through the mass of people to the stage. She ascends the steps to it, followed by her family. Once in place, she retrieves Roger's ring from her pocket.
I almost forgot.
She presents the ring. He takes it. They hug. At the payphone, Williams holds the receiver against his ear.
Are you sure? Thanks, Chief.
Exterior California, Oakland Airport Terminal, continuous. Jack reaches Joan. They embrace. After a moment, Joan pops the big question.
Who won?
Exterior Ohio Columbus Airport hangar continuous. On the stage, Jerrie, Russ, Roger, Gary, Mrs. Mock, and Valerie wait for the news, along with the governor and Evans. William pushes through the crowd. He ascends the steps onto the stage. The crowd grows silent. He steps to the microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just confirmed Jerrie Mock's official landing time.
The crowd hangs on his every word. He lets the suspense linger for a few more seconds.
It was 10 minutes before Joan, as verified by the NAA. Jerrie Mock is officially the first woman to fly solo around the world.
The crowd erupts. Cheers, whistles, yells. Russ hugs Jerrie, both too overcome with emotion to speak. All the challenges and tension of this journey washed away by tears of joy.
Thanks for giving me the ending I wanted.
They hug, then Sharp joins Jerrie, hand thrust out.
You just gave the Russians a well-deserved kick in the teeth. Well done.
Jerrie and Sharp shake hands. Too emotional to speak, she nods her thanks.
Listen, I want you to speak to my next flight school class. Those fledglings need to hear from an honest-to-God pilot.
Exterior California, Oakland Airport Terminal continuous. Jack holds Joan as an airport official pushes through the crowd. He reaches Jack, whispered in Jack's ear.
Thank you.
Jack looks at Joan. His expression tells her all she needs to know. He pulls her tighter. All this for nothing. Exterior Ohio, Columbus Airport hangar continuous. The governor steps to the microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Jerrie Mock, the first woman to fly solo around the world.
Cheers as a group of people in the crowd raise a banner. First woman to fly around the world. Still hating this part, she steps to the microphone. The crowd grows quiet. Somehow her words tumble out.
Thank you for coming out tonight. I'm so glad to be back home with my family and friends. My flight has been the journey of a lifetime. I will never forget it.
The crowd cheers. Mrs. Mock aims a knowing nod at Russ.
And to everyone here, I look forward to the day when the sign over there will only need to say, first to fly around the world.
The women in the crowd cheer and applaud. So do many men. Then Sharp and Williams. Jerrie looks at Russ. Will he do it? He raises his hands and applauds. Interior Ohio Columbus Hotel Ballroom. Night. Super 1 month later. A reception for Jerrie, the first woman to fly around the world. Banner hangs from the ceiling. A small combo plays. Hundreds of dignitaries, friends, and others fill the room, including the governor, Williams, Sharp, the major, Evans, Blanton, and Mrs. Mock. Jerrie and Russ mingle among the crowd. One man stops Russ.
Looks like you're pretty good with publicity. Can you take on another client?
I'll give you a call.
A woman stops Jerrie. She offers a pen and a copy of Ledger with Jerry's picture and the headline, Ohio housewife, first woman to fly solo around the world.
Would you mind signing this for my daughter? Becoming a pilot is all she talks about.
I'd be honored. What's her name?
Betsy?
Jerrie signs, to Betsy. Always keep reaching for the sky. Jerrie Mock. She gives the newspaper back.
Thank you.
The woman departs.
Mrs. Mock?
Jerrie turns around, sees Joan. They look at each other for a few seconds before Joan extends her hand.
Congratulations.
They shake hands, one professional pilot to another. Fade out. Super. In the summer of 1964, at a White House ceremony, President Lyndon Johnson awarded the Federal Aviation Agency Gold Medal for Distinguished Service to Jerrie Mock. Insert still photo. Johnson awarding medal to Jerrie Mock. Super. The Air Force also named a street in her honor at Rickenbacker Air Force Base. Super. Today, Jerrie Mock's Spirit of Columbus hangs in the Udvar Hazy Center of the National Air and Space Museum in Virginia. The end.